Hey everyone, this episode of the podcast is sponsored by, well, you guessed it, Shooter Lube. You already knew it was coming. Go to shooterlube.com and save 10% at checkout by using the promo code SINGER. That's right, you can save 10% at checkout by using the promo code SINGER. What is Shooter Lube? I'll fucking tell you what Shooter Lube is. Shooter Lube is a 2-stage cleaning system for all of your guns, because you guys are all fucking psychopaths and you bought all the guns. I know this to be true because when I go to the gun store, there are no fucking guns left because you bought them all. Now you got to take care of them. So go to shooterlube.com and save 10% at checkout by using the promo code SINGER. Shooter Lube is a 2-stage cleaning system, and you can join the revolution by picking up the military-grade cleaning solvent and the extreme weapons oil. I'm sure some of you are still confused and have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, here's the deal. The new technology in the cleaning solvent has you cleaning your gun better than ever. It's designed to penetrate deep into the metal, cleaning carbon buildup in less time than other leading solvents. Less time? I'm not convinced, but it does a pretty good fucking job, okay? Shooter Lube military-grade weapons cleaning solvent is simply the best. It's odorless. There's no water. It fully evaporates. It leaves no residue, no hazard ingredients per the EPA, has a high flash point, non-corrosive, it does not freeze, and it's non-flammable. The second stage is the extreme weapons oil. Standard gun lubricants and CLPs, this shit's outdated and a thing of the past, y'all. Shooter Lube Extreme Weapons Oil is different. With the new cutting-edge technology, they're creating a new level of gun lubrication and protection. Unlike many other gun oils that just sit on the surface, the Extreme Weapons Oil penetrates, guess where? Deep into the pores of the metal. It forms a bond on and in the metal that does not wipe off, wear off, melt, or evaporate with heavy use. You can feel confident using your weapon to its fullest potential, knowing that it's fully protected from wear and corrosion. It's biodegradable, non-flammable, non-toxic, 100% synthetic, low odor, it's non-staining, rust and corrosion protection, and it reduces wear and friction. So join the revolution by going to shooterlube.com today and using promo code SINGER at checkout. They also have a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, free shipping on all orders over $35. Orders, not odors, $35, and they do have online support. And right now you can go to shooterlube.com and get the Essentials Pack with the t-shirt for $39.90, plus free shipping, and you save 10% if you use the promo code SINGER at checkout. All right, this next sponsor, because this episode we have two sponsors. This next sponsor for the podcast is Werner Elements. Now, Werner Elements is dope, okay? Because a lot of you guys are like me. You got a small hustle going on, whether you're starting a podcast, you're a stand-up comedian, maybe you're a musician. Something's going on in your life. Maybe you got a little side hustle. My buddy's got a little woodworking thing going on. All kinds of cool shit we're doing out there. And a lot of us, our side hustle is starting to become our full-time hustle because of fucking COVID, right? Well, here's the deal. Regardless of whether it's a side hustle and you're working 10 hours a week or you're trying to make this your full-time baby and you're working 50 hours a week, Werner Elements is your partner in growth. We specialize in working with startups and small businesses with a focus on community growth, and that includes musicians, stand-up comedians, and podcasters. Werner Elements is your one-stop shop for all your marketing and graphic design needs, from logo creation, website design and management, to content creation, setting up social media, and creating ad campaigns. Our community is stronger together, so if there's something we don't offer, we know someone who can. Werner Elements, we're offering 10% off your first contract with us by using promo code SINGER when you reach out to us. Werner Elements, yes, we can do that. So go to wernerelements.com and use promo code SINGER at checkout to save 10%. That's WERNER elements.com and save 10% at checkout by using promo code SINGER. My guest for the podcast today is Jesse Weber. He is a musician, dude I've known for a very, very long time. We have played in, I don't even know how many shows together, but we started around the same time, teenagers, just kids. And yeah, he's just a great guy, man. He's got a new band called the Failsafe, which I will add, he stole from me, by the way. Me and Dusty Eisenman had a band called the Failsafe first, and we didn't do anything with it. And Jesse Weber, Steven Ass stole that band name from us. So without further ado, welcome my friend, Jesse Weber, to the podcast. Jesse Weber, we are live, sir.
Indeed we are.
Thanks for coming down, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were talking before the podcast. I was telling you, you look great, man. You look like a rock star.
Well, thank you.
I look like shit, but at least one of us cares. Appreciate you doing this, man. Really. I really do, man. In case people don't know, I want to give them, I'm going to let you really explain who you are and what you do, but I want to give them just a quick, brief rundown. We met like 20 years ago in the music industry.
Holy shit, yeah.
Both little babies. Almost 20 years ago. Babies in the music industry, in the scene. Begging to open for just a local band. Do you remember that?
Dude, I remember. Okay, so as far as my memory goes, there are things I don't remember and bits and pieces I remember. There's a lot of early memories, especially back then, where I went through some transitional things in my life as far as medication for sleep and potentially abusing it. And also I saw a hypnotherapist that straight blocked memories out. Like chunks of my memory are just gone until they get jarred again. And then it's like I never forgot it.
Wow.
So that was, I think I did that when I was like 23, I guess.
No shit.
Yeah, I was in this weird spot in my life where I hated my job. I was just coming out of like a 6.5-year relationship with, didn't really like her much either, and didn't really like the band I was in and my house and everything. And I like just quit the job. The relationship ended. I switched bands and just kind of started things over, moved to the city from the suburbs. And yeah, part of that was just kind of therapeutic to try to forget it and just start over. It did have an inverse effect on my personality. Like I was different. It was weird stuff too. Like I didn't eat vegetables or anything weird. It was weird shit like that. Or I was afraid of ever riding on a motorcycle or getting tattoos or anything like that. So that whole process altered a lot of my personality. But like talking to people like the old heads like yourself or anything like that, and remembering, you're like, oh yeah. And that like it instantly clicked. I'm like, Jared, oh yeah, Dying Euphoria. We met at the Rock.
Oh fuck, we met way before that, dude. We met when I was in 7 months of nothing. We met when we were babies. Like I don't even remember the name of that band you were in. I remember later you started something called the Phoenix Philosophy.
Yeah.
But you were in a different band back then. And then I remember knowing you from the scene. And didn't you play a show with B?
I did, yeah.
At the Urban Wildlife. I think you guest appeared and played keyboards with them, right?
Sounds like something I would have done.
And then I just remember running into you like, how the fuck do you know these guys? And I think you met them through like Music Tech or something. Like you and I just had so many run-ins and slowly just kind of like both did very similar things. And
yeah.
I just remember the first time I got to open for like a big band. I remember because we were at the same stage. We were just trying to do the same thing. And you were just like, man, that's so fucking cool. How'd you do that? And I was like, I don't know, man. They just asked us. And you were like, so you got any advice? What can we do? I was like, just flyer and work hard. I think that's what they want. They want opening bands that will help promote their own show. And you were like, for real? And I was like, I really think that's all I'm doing. Because that's what other guys told me to do, is just work hard.
I do remember
And sure shit, like 3 months later, you were opening up for somebody huge too. It's just like, boom.
I remember having an opportunity on an open band night, and I hope I'm getting this story right because it's so long ago. It was like a free show at Urban Wildlife, and we were to draw. And so I was at the Beat Suites, like a rehearsal studio connected to a pawn shop right across from the Salvation Army Center. And we had the guy that was old enough in our band to buy booze, bribe homeless people with booze and sandwiches from Arby's, a 5 for $5 deal, to come into Urban Wildlife and just be ahead. And so we got from there, we were able to get on like a show at the Caboose or something like that on a weekend.
Dude, that's so funny.
So it was like a snow emergency night, and we were able to get enough to justify.
What was the name of your very first band?
It was Point of View.
What was the name of your second band?
That was the Phoenix Philosophy.
Point of View. I don't remember.
Oh, no. We did change our name. It was Silent Keep.
That one sounds more familiar.
Yeah, I remember that. Holy crap. So memory coming back here. So you were actually just talking about this yesterday regarding the Battle of the Bands with Buried by Hope. So we were in a Battle of the Bands, and we didn't have a lot of audio quality as far as our album or records went. So we would just try to have a really good show. And we busted our ass on the show, like doing the guitar spin thing, everything we could, just really trying to master that. And we got to we're in this Battle of the Bands. We got to the finals or whatever. And we played what I would consider at the time probably the best show we ever did. And we had a good draw there, and we didn't even place. Oof. And one of the guys that was...
How many bands were in the finals?
Like 3. Or maybe 4. I think we
there
were
had to be 4 if you didn't place.
We were like 4th place. We didn't have a prize, basically.
Right.
So one of the guys that was the judge, I was in a band with in high school. And I was like, dude, what happened? I thought we did. And he's just like, he looked at me, he's like, you got to write good songs, man. And then walked away. And then after that, that's when I started writing for the Phoenix Philosophy. And everything was around, no more around, rocking, trying to get a live production. It was all about the songs. It was all about that. It came back to the live production later, but it was all about trying to write catchy, hooky songs. And like, it transformed my music. And then
that's got to be a real gut punch too.
Well, the funny thing is,
I mean, he basically told you, like, you guys are cool, but your songs suck. I mean, that's essentially what he said. Because that's, no matter what you say, that's what we hear as musicians, right? You could say it in the nicest world, like, their songs were a little better, and all you hear is, our song sucked.
Yeah, he gave it to me straight. And honestly, that was probably the best thing that could have happened, because I was complacent. 100%. But the funny thing is, like, the bassist of the band that won that, I met him like at a party like years later.
Who were the other bands in the finals?
God, one was called The Aesthetic.
I remember them.
And then the band that won, I forgot their name. But the bass player, the bass player he basically was like, yeah, that thing was rigged. He's like, yeah, we knew we were going to win. I'm like, that changed my whole musical course and shit, and it was just rigged.
Wow.
So
I never knew there was actual rigged Battle of the Bands at the Rock. I'm not that surprised though, because I finished second at every fucking battle.
Yeah, I think this one was Station 4.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
So obviously, in case people haven't figured it out yet, you're a musician.
Yes, I play one on TV,
and you're a singer, and you do play guitar. Weren't you in a band with your brother at one point in time?
I don't have a brother, actually.
I swear to God, you were in a band, and maybe this was either the Phoenix Philosophy or a band before that, where I swear to God, you switched off with some dude who looked just like you, and you guys sang and or played guitar or some shit, and then eventually you got a female singer.
What we did do, and this was already when we had a female in the band, with the Phoenix Philosophy, we were making money on the side by doing covers. So we had a cover band called Surprise Party, and we would all take turns playing bass or guitar, or drums, and singing.
In the cover band?
Yeah.
That's right. That's what it was, because I remember running into you guys in Anoka.
Oh, shit. Serums.
Yeah. Upstairs.
Death Mountain.
Upstairs.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I just ran into you guys one night. I was there with some girlfriend. I don't remember who I was with. And, we go up there and I was like, these guys are actually pretty good. And I turn around and look at the stage and I'm like, oh, I fucking know these guys. I remember that shit.
That was a very interesting time. We made a lot of money doing covers, but it cost us half our band because it just took a part of your soul.
Yep.
You had these, like Dave was talking about yesterday, where he's, people go up to you, hey, you know this song? Oh, come on. You know what? Like, people would go up to us and be like this one guy, he's like, hey, you guys know any Glenn Miller? Oh, that trombonist from the 1920s? No, I don't know him. I have my keyboard and my guitar here. Oh, come on. You know Glenn Miller? Like,
that's
what the fuck?
Hilarious.
Like, shit. Like, yeah, just weird shit like that. It was, and like the whole grind too. It's like you have to get off work early, get there, set up all your sound, because there's a lot of money in cover bands, but the overhead is also high. And if you eliminate that overhead, you're going to make bank, but you're going to be working your ass off.
Right.
So it's like, well, we run our own sound, own lights, bring in all of our own
I'm
gear.
convinced the amount of work you have to put into it to even get to the point where you're really making good money doing it. Like, if you would have put that same amount of time and effort into your original music, you'd probably be making decent money. Maybe not as much money right away, but if you actually get some shit licensed to a video game or a movie or a TV show, or you get a hit single or something starts clicking for you, you'll make more money in the long run because that's actual music you wrote, where you're getting passive income off royalties and residuals and streams.
It's definitely more of a crapshoot versus like the easy monies on the cover side, but
yeah, the career path is a lot more easy to navigate on the cover side. But that's my question, is like, because I've heard it from so many cover musicians, and I've known hundreds of them in my career, where they get sucked into the cover thing because of the money, and then it just slowly eats at their musical soul until, like, I hear them. They're like, I'm not even sure I'm a real musician animour. I hear people say that kind of shit. I feel that because that's my fear.
I lost my bass player.
That's why I haven't been able to do it
back in the day. He was gung ho, and then we're spending all his time working on the cover stuff and not the original stuff. He just felt like he lost part of his soul doing all the cover shit, and he's like, I'm out.
That's so crazy. I mean, I totally can understand, though. It's not surprising. I do think it's crazy, but it's not surprising because that's my fear. You know, like, can I respect myself as a musician because I'm literally saying my music isn't good enough to make money off of, so I'm going to go play other people's music and be a walking karaoke machine? Like,
I'll tell you what,
or a jukebox? What am I at?
Alcohol helps.
I bet.
It helps. Those being wasted at those shows is pretty fun. Just getting them.
And I'm not talking shit. I hope nobody thinks we're talking shit about people that are in cover bands.
No, they're super talented.
If you can do it, cool. But I hear this from other people that tried to do it and couldn't keep going. It was just too much for them, and they're like, it's killing me. So I'm always curious about that kind of shit. Yeah, I don't know why this. But go ahead and throw your guys' questions in the chat. We will try to get to them if we do breaks and go to the bathroom and shit like that. So I usually post something in there, but the chat thing's not working. So
sure.
But you guys should be able to post in here. Let me just double check one more time that live chat's on. Dirk-a-dur. Thank you guys for checking in. Appreciate it. Hanging out with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that cheesy shit. You know what to do. There we go. Boom. All right. So what are you up to now? You're in a band called the Failsafe. I got to give you a little shit about this. So,
oh boy,
there's a joke between me and a couple buddies that you guys stole our band name.
What?
Yeah, it's a joke. It's
okay.
Not real.
So one day I was hanging out outside your rehearsal space with the cup to the wall. I'm like, Failsafe, that's good. Wrote it down, ran back to my boys, like, hey, yo, I got this great idea for a band name. Stole from Jared. Fuck him.
No, it's obviously a joke. We started that band, or we started a band with that name about a year or two before you guys did, and then we just never did anything with it. We just literally sat on it and
including
didn't do
copyright
anything.
The name.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, technically trademark, but yeah. Including that. And then I remember, because we had joked about it multiple times hanging out, the 3 or 4 of us, that we should get the band back together, because we wrote 1 or 2 songs, and they were actually kind of bitching, don't get me wrong, but we never did anything with it. And then, like, a year or 2 later, all of a sudden you guys popped up.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, it's too late now, boys. And they're like, we could always just pick a new name. I was like, nope, it's over.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you guys just we'll have a guest drummer, a guest singer, a guest guitar player, and we'll just like take those tracks and put them on our album.
Sounds great.
Give you all the credit and royalties for it.
You can sing over them, because I don't think we ever had a singer, and if we did, it wasn't very good. I think it was just random screaming. I got so burnt out on that style of music. I still like listening to some of it, but I can't fucking do it anymore. I can't make it. Just a blah, rah, rah. I was in 3 of those bands in a row.
Throat scorching, huh?
It wasn't physically too much. It was mentally too much, because it all started to sound the same. You start playing, you start touring, the hundreds of bands you hear. It's like, no matter how unique you are, that genre, that version of metal just got so polluted, and I didn't have that powerful, good singing voice like you and some other guys do, so I wasn't able to make that transition. And not only that, but I wasn't enjoying the style of music anymore as a songwriter. I felt the genre to be restrictive and confining, and I just got burnt out on it. I still like listening to it. Like, Misery Signals is one of my favorite bands, but I don't know.
I was watching this podcast about how all these bands rip off Misery Signals, like to
Really?
a T, and it's like almost like its own genre in itself.
Really?
Yeah.
What podcast is that? I gotta check that one out.
Punk Rock MBA.
No shit.
Yeah.
Here, pull this a little closer to you. You don't
There
have
we
to
go.
lean forward. You can pull it back.
Yes. He does a whole bunch of. I'm plugging him, I guess, but he does a bunch of analysis on different musics and different genres and their rise and falls and postmortems and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, because my formula when I had the vision for the band, for my new, so I'll have to play you some of the new shit. I haven't released any of it. It's not finished yet, but I'll play you a demo before you leave. When I was trying to explain it to people, they were like, I don't know, man, that sounds insane. I don't think it's going to work. But I was telling people it's Misery Signals meets Coheed and Cambria. They were like,
okay, that sounds a little weird.
And then when you hear it, it's like, oh, okay, that totally works. But people only hear the Coheed. They're like, ooh, I'm hearing some Coheed vibes. And it's like, cool, that's good. But I've never heard anybody be like, oh, that's a total Misery Signals vibe, or that's totally ripped off from them, even though it's way more blatant if you really know Misery Signals. I was writing music like that for so long, and I just could never get a band together with me writing riffs like that. Because I couldn't explain it to anybody. I couldn't show anybody, and I couldn't play drums yet. So people were always just frustrated and confused. And then when that band came out, and then I played my riffs, they were like, oh, okay, that makes way more sense now. It like, yeah, so I definitely didn't rip the sound off, even though that's what it sounds like. And I just kind of accused myself of that. But they definitely helped me hone it in and make it digestible, I guess you would say.
Sure.
Because it was really clunky before that and awkward, and it wasn't as innovative as them. But I think it's interesting because you kind of went the other route. I remember Phoenix Philosophy and all those other bands being not as heavy as the Failsafe. You got heavier in your career, where I went the other way. I was super heavy, and now I'm kind of playing the softy
part
music.
of the post-mortem on Phoenix Philosophy was, okay, we had this sound. We even got to go to the Grammys, which was cool.
No shit.
Yeah. By the way, it's not that hard to get up for consideration. If you know a producer that's on the Songwriters Guild or Recording Academy, they can recommend you. So then we were like one of 2,000 rejects for a couple of the, I think it was like 80 different categories, including like artwork or, best pop song and just a bunch of weird shit. I have interesting stories about that whole thing too, but we were kind of chasing that. I've always felt like an outsider to the local rock scene, like you were talking about. I always felt like I was on the outside looking in. I'd get a crumb here or there, but eventually I just realized either I'm not super likable or my band sucks, but either way, I'm just going to just do my own thing and start finding, a couple bands that are kind of doing the same thing I'm doing and try to get going with them. And it led me to go lighter with the Phoenix Philosophy, but then it was just like random things happen. Like, oh, let's try we have a female guitarist. Let's have her do backups. Oh, she's doing cover stuff. Okay, let's have her start doing lead stuff. Let's do dual vocals. And the next thing you know, you have this pop, rock, electronic, dual vocal thing. It was like, pick a fucking lane. And I think it was...
That's hilarious.
And the worst part about it is, like, we made a rock album, an actual rock album in that band. No one listened to it. And if they even consider, they're like, oh yeah, that's just a pop band, and that was it. Like, we made a rock, like the last album we made was a rock album.
Interesting.
And I don't think anyone even heard it. And so it was weird. It was like we weren't getting bought as a pop band, we weren't getting bought as a rock band, and it just kind of, to the point where we went to the Grammys and all this stuff like that, and then did big shows, open for like bands like Skillet, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, things like that, to like struggling to like get a show at Honey in Northeast Minneapolis. It's like, well, this isn't working. But the three of us, the guys in the band, because the guitar player and the band, we parted ways, and then the rest of the boys still wanted to make music, and we just kind of used it as an opportunity to pick a lane.
Right.
And we've gotten more energy, more enthusiasm, more support for this band in the small time it's been together than we did the entire time I was Phoenix Philosophy.
Right.
So basically, I wasted about a decade of my life.
I wonder about that because I feel like that sometimes too. Looking back in certain bands, like, oh fuck, man, I wasted so much time. But there's value in that.
It's your baby, you know.
Well, and you there's certain dudes, like I've been trying to talk to my little brother and a bunch of other cats that are younger than 30. I'm trying to tell them, I'm like, listen, man, you have to like actually fail over and over and over again and keep going in order to understand the lessons in your pursuits of like what to do and what not to do. Like sometimes the only way to understand what not to do is to fail.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, don't do that again. Got it. Move on. But if you're worried about figuring it out and doing it right the first time, you're going to fail, which is fine. So I don't know. It's something I've been kind of mulling over lately, like I don't know that you did waste 10 years because you also probably got better. Probably got better at songwriting. You probably got better at a lot of things.
No, it certainly grew, and it was nice having the infrastructure of the previous band to support the new band. So it's like, oh, we have the rehearsal warehouse space, we have all the equipment, we have.
Without giving away like exactly where are you guys rehearsing?
We're in the Grainbelt building.
Ah, got you. They're still doing shit down there, huh?
No, just us.
Gotcha.
We have a really, really good deal, and it was like a space that was used back in like the late 90s for touring bands to rehearse at before they would go play at the Roy Wilkins or First Ave or wherever, like Go-Go Girls or
that's cool.
Whoever's down there. And we ended up getting a deal for that space, and it was actually furnished too when we got it. I've had that space since 2007.
Oh, sick, dude.
So I'm never gonna let it go. I don't even live here, and I'm never gonna let it go.
Right. So what's the Failsafe doing now? I know it's COVID, but what are you currently up to?
So we have really not stopped making content. I would say since COVID happened about a year ago at this point. Since then, we've recorded 4 singles and a cover and 3 acoustic songs. We did try playing a show in August, which required us to go all the way to Illinois.
How'd that go?
It was a sold-out show. However, it was like 25% capacity, and it was like a fucking variety hour. And we ended up...
And 15 feet between guests.
Yeah, so basically...
So it feels empty, right?
Yeah, so we basically played... There was like 15 people made it or 50 people, sorry, 50 made it a sold-out show, and I'm probably 30 people saw us. We lost money. So we're like, we're not doing this shit anymore.
Right.
But we wanted to get back out there and do something, kind of gauge to see how things are going since they were opening up. And nice thing about it, helped us find a good band manager. So
really,
through the process, built a good relationship with him. This company called SLM.
SLM.
Yep. This guy named Jeff Filgren. He's based out of Illinois. He does a lot of talent buying and things like that. So working on some tours right now, but everyone's on hold. They're basically the bigger bands are telling us.
What is he saying for a timeline? Because the other guys I know in the industry, like guys like him, I'm hearing strong whispers of 2022.
Well, right, he's actually has Flaw on tour right now.
How is it going though?
Apparently,
are they making money. Like
the Flaw one, from what I understand, is drawing super well.
What are they doing? Are they doing anything creative or clever?
They're just doing the standard, if it's a limited capacity, there's a bigger room to have more space. But really, especially in these towns, like bands, the other tour he's doing is Rizzo from Fear Factory. He's got a solo project, and we actually turned that one down because we just aren't comfortable doing it yet. We want to wait a little bit. We're not confident that our bands will come out for it right now.
Right.
But so he's got, I guess in the Midwest, like we're the Midwest, but like the actual geographical Midwest. Mm-hmm. So like Illinois, Indiana, things like that. Sounds like it's hit or miss. Some places will not allow anything, or they'll change their policies on them. Other shows are a line out the door. Yeah.
Fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, it's nuts. So he's already booking, and so some of the bands that we were working with on trying to get on their tours, they're like, oh yeah, we're planning for mid-April or end of April, early May, but they haven't solidified the dates yet. So once they do, then we will decide if it's going to make sense for us.
Fucking wild, dude.
Yeah.
So when you're a smaller band, because we've talked about this in past podcasts, because I haven't toured in a long time now. Like, I've played shows and shit like that, but like, and when I say tour, I mean where I toured and even glorified Weekend Warrior stuff, but where you're coordinating, where you're really like booking your own shit, even if you have a tour manager, regardless. I've done spots, basically, glorified spots, and jumped on with other people where I just had to ride the wave. How is the tour industry working right now? Because I remember way back in the day, it flip-flopped from you would buy onto a tour to if you even offer a buy-on, you're going to insult people and you'll be blacklisted. And it would flip-flop based on like every year or two, depending on who was the new guy in charge of whatever tour company you were trying to talk to. What is it? How's it working right now? Do you buy on if you're a smaller act, or?
It depends on the tour. So if, for example, there's a Saliva Saving Abel tour that's potentially in the works, that might be a buy-on opportunity. There was the Rizzo one. When that was offered us, with a guarantee. There's negotiation too. That's another thing too. If there's a bigger band that was popular, early 2000s, that's still making runs, sometimes it's the whole mentality, if it ain't broke, don't fix it when it comes to their marketing, the graphic design, and we can say, hey, we'll do the marketing, we'll do the graphic design, we'll create a promo package if you get us on. Like, you can negotiate a little bit. There's the possibility of that.
Gotcha.
As well. So it's all over the board, really.
Interesting.
But our guy takes care of us.
That kind of makes sense though, because the way the industry sort of collapsed post Napster, right? So like after all of that, and like shit started shaking out, tech started getting really cheap, so we started needing labels less and less for anything. Really, I mean, even now, what do you need a label for?
Well, yeah,
maybe they provide support. Maybe they provide people and connections and an infrastructure in a facility, so to speak, to work within, a structure to work within. Maybe, okay, but it used to be about, well, we can record your record. Well, I can do that in my fucking basement. I don't need a $100,000. I don't even need a $10,000 studio now. I just need people that know what they're doing, and half of us will do it for free for each other because we just like each other's music, right?
Exactly. And
what's next? What it used to be recording, and then it was what? Oh, promotion. Okay, and then fucking Facebook and MySpace and Instagram came out. Okay, and then it was distribution. That was the big one for the longest time. And now I can put my own shit on iTunes, bitch. Like, nobody goes to Walmart and buys CDs anymore. If you really want my CD, you'll go to my website and buy it directly from me. What is a label actually offering other than that perceived structural support? And this is, you don't have to answer it, but I'm curious, like.
Well, I actually have something I can comment on. So we've talked.
It would have been touring, right?
Well, not even. It depends. So labels are different too, and they offer different things.
They used to offer all of these things in one thing. That was why you wanted to get signed, because they did all that for you. And I'm talking all the way back to the 70s.
I know we've had two labels talk to our management company that has brought these deals to us that had some interest, and so like you said, we're a band. We have our own recording studio. We have a web designer. We make our own music videos. Sometimes we'll outsource the editing. I think we're going to do in this most recent one. We do our own graphic designing. We promote ourselves. And we own our own merch, because that's another deal too. They're like, hey, we'll front money for merch if you give us a certain percentage. Well, we have all of our own. What can you offer that's better than what we have done for ourselves that's going to justify losing half of my money, or 10%, or
right? It would be the only perceived thing left would be touring. Oh, well, we'll get you opening for Metallica. It's like, okay,
at that point, maybe I'd talk about it, but
regularly, like bands of that level, crowds of that size regularly, maybe. Okay, now let's dig into some numbers, because if I have to sell everything I own to you, and I don't even own my own band or product anymore, just so I can regularly open up for bands at the level of Metallica, probably still not worth it.
Yeah, the other holy grail right now is Spotify playlist.
What do you mean?
So now it's...
Ooh, what do you mean?
Okay, so we fucked up, by the way. When we came out with the band and we came out with the first album, we put the whole fucker on Spotify. And by doing that, we had one chance to be submitted for their promoted playlist that shows up on every Spotify. Like, oh, here's the top rock playlist, and that's where new artists get to go. And it leads to thousands, hundreds of thousands of streams, depending on which playlist you land on, that are pushed by Spotify. So when we came out with the album, we got to pick one song from the album and submit it to one genre, and they chose not to go with it. Like, no, we don't want it. And so we missed our shot. So the game now is singles. Basically singles, so we have more chances. So if we would have taken that album and did 12 singles, we would have had 12 chances to get on those albums, and one of those songs would have had a higher chance of blowing up.
Interesting.
So yeah, so right now it's just single. You got enough for an EP, put it into an EP and
drop that.
Yeah.
So you've got all the songs on the EP as separate singles, and then you just drop the EP as one full thing.
Exactly. And
separate tracks.
Yep. And what we do is
how can you do that, like, daily? So, like, let's say, just hypothetically, let's say you had a 5-song EP.
Mm-hmm.
Could you drop a single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the following Monday drop the entire album? Would that count, or does it have to be, like, weekly?
It has to be an album of itself. So the single has to have its own artwork, has to have its own... So basically, if someone's to play it, they're basically gonna see, oh, this album is a single, this album is a single. They go into it and they'll see one song. Is pretty much how it works.
Right. And then, but will they allow you to do that, like, each day, or does it have to be weekly or monthly?
That I'm not sure. That part of it, my guitar player would probably know more about. But essentially, every release you put up, you get one shot at it, whether it's an album, whether it's an EP or a single.
Right. So yeah, if you had a 5-song EP, drop each track individually as singles, which are technically their own albums as well.
Yeah.
That's 5 shots. And then here's my question is, when you drop the album, the EP as its full thing, do you get to submit one again? So, like, do you get to submit the same track twice, essentially?
No.
So you'd want to have a 6th song then.
Or just, like, add an extra second of master static at the end of one of the songs and re-release.
Oh, really?
It.
Really?
But then you have 2 versions that are out there and they sound exactly the same. But
interesting. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, that's kind of the game now. Is that, and we've been able to get on playlists, but none of those major ones. So it's all about how we started, which is just get in front of people and say, hey, listen to this.
Right. I still believe if you're playing guitars live, if you're playing, I don't care what style music it is, but when you perform live, if you're playing guitars and drums or stringed instruments or something like that, even keyboards, right? You're playing that shit live. I still believe that no matter what, that will always be the best way to sell your band to new fans. And I still believe the true formula to making great music on record is to first make it sound good in a room, and then your job is to capture that sound on record. Too many bands, including bands like we talked, where both our bands now are trying to do this thing remotely. I fucking hate it because we don't know what we sound like live. So we're going to end up with a record that sounds one way, and then when we get out and try to play it live, we're going to try to sound like that record. That's not how it's supposed to be done.
That's exactly how we do it.
That's how everyone does it now, including me.
Yeah.
I'm not singling you out, brother.
Yeah.
This is the whole fucking music industry now, and I think it's bad. I think you can only get away with that in pop music, like a Billie Eilish, like a fucking Beyonce, like groups like that. That's the only way they can get away with that shit, where their music plays and gets hit. It hits in the clubs, right? So it's not about live music. That music gets popular before those people go on tour.
And I'm of the opinion too that you're not married to the album. The live show can be a different thing, and that's okay.
Do you think it almost should be?
Well, what we do, I mean, sometimes it has to be, where we have segues in every single song, basically kind of little mini tracks in between the songs that we can talk over, things that you would never hear on the album. There's extended parts because it's filling up that live atmosphere to talk over, to get people into. Things are more telegraphed live. And so it's the live show is, although you're playing the same songs, it's a completely different experience than the album. If someone wants to hear the album verbatim, they go listen to the album.
That's what I was getting at exactly. Because I think that when I say capture your sound on record, that's just capturing the vibe, the energy, you know. But you're right. I think if somebody wanted to hear a perfect rendition of your record, they would just go listen to your record. They're here for a show. That's why I love bands like Elton John. And I say bands like Elton John because he plays with a full real band. Metallica. Fuck, dude, the list is just... I'm going to just stop there because the list is endless, and I don't want to fucking... I named two from other sides of each genre, right?
Yeah.
But they improv and completely add and change and fuck with parts of their songs because they're bored with playing the same thing. But it's amazing because that's a unique experience that night or that tour. So even if you come back and see that same band a year later, as long as it's not the exact same pre-rehearsed set, you'll never see the same performance twice. Because there's some bands that do that. They go across, they have a perfectly rehearsed set. They go across the country and they perform that set. But once that tour is over, it's almost like comedy. They throw that version of that set away. They rearrange it. They add new songs. They redecorate.
That's exactly
the stage.
what we do.
Yep. And then you go do it again. When you get to the Metallica level or Van Halen before Eddie passed, they would recycle their set every night. They would have a theme with the look of the stage and the graphics and the shit like that. But you could follow that band every night on tour and see a unique show. You will never see the exact same Metallica show twice. Van Halen, Elton John. That's when you get to that level. And they do that shit because they're so fucking bored with those songs. They can't even do it all the same way on one tour.
Yeah.
like you and I are still at the age and not successful enough where we don't play enough shows in a year to get bored with our set.
Yeah, seriously.
But we did do that shit as local bands. Do you remember that? Because we knew, like, we just played here a month ago or 3 months ago, however often. I backed off to every 3 months locally, but even then, I was like, we do not want to play the exact same order of songs that we played the last time we played here. And we even experimented. We went back and forth. We were like, no, this is our set. It works, blah, 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 blah. And as soon as someone commented, was that the same exact set you played 3 months ago? And everyone's like, nope, we're not doing that again. That's all it took was one person to just ask the question. They didn't even criticize us.
Oh, jeez.
It was just they asked us. We were like, nope, not doing that again. Because, yeah, people don't want to hear, even in live music. I think that gets commonly misconstrued that, you know, in comedy, we talked about this and I probably said it wrong myself. In comedy, once a joke is done on a special, you throw it away, whereas we get to continue to play that song live forever.
Yeah.
However, if you play that song exactly the same way every single time, just like it's on record, people eventually get bored of it. It's overplayed. They get sick of it, and they move on just like a joke. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I know what we do. We typically, I guess the best way to categorize is seasons, basically. Like, okay, this season we're going to be playing this set with these songs. Oh, we have some new songs coming in, and we'll go ahead and swap this out here, arrange this here. We'll add an extra piece here, extra segue here, and just keep it fresh.
And you said you guys haven't stopped putting out content. So what else are you guys putting out since you can't be playing the level of shows live that you'd want to be playing?
Yeah, so since we haven't been able to play live, we've put out, and I'll just go through the calendar here. August, we put out a single titled Remind Me I'm Alive. Did a music video for that one. And then a couple months later, I think it was October, we did Come and Go, which is a Juice WRLD cover, and we did a music video for that. And then in December, we recorded an acoustic EP.
Nice.
Because fuck it.
Right.
So we did that. So we recorded an acoustic EP, and we offered it. We put one song on Spotify, but we have a limited run for fans or friends or family who are buying a certain amount of money in merch on our website.
Mm-hmm.
So we, as a thank you, we made these songs and we are mailing them out with the merch.
That's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, and
the link is in the description if anybody's curious. It's We Are the Failsafe.
Yes, I used to say because we could use the gas money, but now we could just use the rent money, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. And then we just did another single. We actually recorded 2 singles in January, and then we just did a video for one this week. And 2 days ago, I recorded another single.
You guys have a Patreon?
No, but we thought about it.
I think that's really the future, man. I think because like what you guys are doing, the way you're doing it, I think. I mean, here's how I rationalize it, right? Here's how my stupid brain works. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it's annoying. I don't know. But here's how I think about it. Even if you got a $3 a month subscription, right? Even $1 a month. Pick your fucking number. Who gives a shit? I'm just gonna pay $3 because that's my low tier. My low tier is $2.99 with 0 subscribers, by the way. I think it's hilarious. I don't put any content on there because I don't have any subs yet. I'm waiting for somebody to give a fuck, and then I'll start putting some shit up there. I have some stuff up there, but it's kind of a joke. I do need to get more serious about my Patreon, but we're talking about the potential of something like yours. Even if you have just a $3 simple 1 tier, it's basically a glorified fan club at that point, right? So you do all the standard stuff. Yeah, you offer discounts on merch. You offer them pre-sale opportunities and discounts on tickets, meet and greet kind of shit, all that kind of stuff, obviously. But at the rate you're putting out this content, you could put it to your Patreon subscribers first, let it simmer there for 30 to 90 days, and then put it out to anywhere else you want. So you're getting them first crack, like real, true fucking fans. And then when you're making these videos, when you're shooting these things, all that behind the scene B-roll that you're doing, you can edit that down, put that shit on there as extra behind the scenes content. I've talked to bands about potentially doing something like this, like once a month. You and the band members sit down after a fucking rehearsal or something, and you guys just fucking have some drinks and shoot the shit and do a little podcast, a Patreon thing where you interact directly with the fans and you're hanging there for a couple hours, and it's a blast. If you only had even just 10,000 people globally that subscribe to that, that'd still be $30,000 a month that your band is making, regardless of whether you're actually touring or not. And that seems great now, but imagine if you would have started doing that in like 2010. You know what I mean? Like, and you had 100,000 Patreon subscribers across the globe by now. Then you'd be making $300,000 a month, and you'd be fine during COVID. Everything would be fine because this isn't a new idea. There's nothing new about this idea.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like, how come we're not doing it? I don't have a real band yet. I'm still like finishing the album and making the music. Like, we haven't fucking done a goddamn thing. We haven't even 100% settled on the version of the name. Like, we settled on the name, but we're debating whether we're going to have the in it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you guys had the debate. Is it going to be the Failsafe or Failsafe?
Yeah, and sometimes they just call us one or the other.
Right?
On the flyer. If in town we've never been to, they're just like, yeah, Failsafe's playing. Okay.
See,
Whatever.
I think it's apparently obvious when it's in your website. We are the Failsafe. Like, it's so deliberate. Like, okay, It's the Failsafe, guys. They're kind of telling us. It's like the Minnesota Nice, the passive aggressive. We are the Failsafe. Excuse me, guys. Look at our website.
Clearly. Or what if they just fuck up and just put our name as We Are the Failsafe?
That is a potential.
Just to be dicks.
That's a possibility. I do got to give you guys some props because you're one of the few bands I've seen recently that has their own bona fide website, and I think that's really smart. I think there's too many bands that their only actual existence is on social media platforms. I think that's dangerous, and I think it's short-sighted because you don't own that data.
Exactly.
You're the data.
What if we say something that offends somebody, and next thing you know, we're canceled, and then
right,
at least we have our website. That's one of the perks.
I'm in Facebook jail right now.
Yeah, that's
because of something I said. I made a joke about a meme, right? So I made a joke about a fake person in a joking meme context in a private group. No one complained. No one flagged me.
Wow.
Facebook flagged me. Like immediately. Like I posted it, and then all of a sudden it was like, boom, your comment's been flagged. Like within an instant. And I was like, what? No, that can't be right. And it gave me an option for the way I wanted to like have them review it. And I was like, no, you took it out of context. That wasn't its intent. And I hit the thing. There's no like add your comments here where I can be like, it's just a joke. Like I'm going with the context of the joke in the meme.
Yeah.
And within a second, I hit submit. No ability to type that in, and boom, it comes back. Your comment's been reviewed and denied. Facebook jail for 3 days. I'm like, fuck this platform.
Yeah.
Now I can't even fucking promote my stupid podcast for 3 days. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, frankly, if it wasn't for being in a band, I would probably be off social media entirely.
Exactly.
Just off the grid.
It's just too much work now. You have to like play in these tight confines. Like it's happened on Twitter where dudes like have like a Call of Duty thing going and they're talking shit to each other on fucking on Twitter.
Yeah.
About Call of Duty, like, oh, I'm going to fucking murder you tonight. I'm going to blow your head off because they're talking about going back and forth in Call of Duty. And one of them gets banned for life for making death threats. And it's like, I get it, but you guys got to allow us a chance to just have a human actually review these things. That's my problem. My only problem is that a bot grabbed me and a bot reviewed and a bot judged. Like, boom, boom, boom. All within a second. There was no plea, there was no second review, there's no your bot made a mistake, I'd like a human to review. None of it. That's it.
That sucks.
It's like just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, very grateful we have a web designer in the band.
For real, dude, because I think that's really important. And then you own your own data, you own your own traffic. You can make sure that shit's controlled, and your people that want to follow you aren't being part of somebody else's insane algorithm. Because that's the shady part about Facebook is like, I want to look up your band. The only way I can do it is to go to your Facebook page. Well, now, if I really want to like look at shit and really I have to log into Facebook. So now you're making your fans join Zuckerberg's data collection pool. You see what I'm getting? Like,
what makes it worse is like
you have it's just cringy.
I don't know if this is still the case, but it was a while ago. Was you have to pay money for your fans to see your shit, the people who actually
for the
like
most
your
part
stuff.
Yeah, you only reach like it's something like 10% of the people that actually follow you on Facebook.
What the fuck?
And I tried it. Here's the thing is I threw a couple bucks at it because I was like, I want to test this and see if it's true. And not only is it true, but when you do pay for it, it still doesn't expose you to all of your actual people. It exposes you to other people who don't even fucking follow you. You look like an ad. Like it shows up as sponsored, and you look like an asshole trying to fucking promote your podcast, right? Like it shows up that you're an ad. It shows up differently.
I did find out.
And you still don't reach 100% of your own following.
I found a way to reach 100% of your following. I think this is 100% from what I understand. If you change your name on your profile, everyone that's signed up to you gets a notification that the name has been changed.
That's like the only way.
Yeah. So you can just put an advertisement like, hey, March 3rd, I'm having Jake Nelson from 10 Dark Years on or whatever. And that would be your name. And everyone would see that as a notification.
That's so sickening. They make you go through a thing, though, because I had to start a new Facebook profile because they were giving me shit about me changing my name when I got married. So I translated my last name from Cantor to Singer.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, why'd you change your name? I'm like, I didn't really.
Oh my God. I just thought you did that.
Yiddish.
I just thought you did that because you're a singer.
No, I don't even sing anymore. I just translated it for it's Kantor. My birth name is the literal Yiddish word for singer. So all I did is translated it into actual English from Yiddish. That's all I did. I didn't really actually even change my name technically. I did what every other immigrant did when we moved here. You know, I just decided to do it when I got married because my wife wasn't super excited about Kate Cantor.
Yeah.
And
my grandparents, they changed, or my great grandparents, I think we were von Weber, and then they changed it to Weber to sound less German.
and there's only one B too. That was really interesting because I kept putting two B's in there, and then I kept putting the one B in there correctly, but then kept looking at it going, God, I keep typoing this, and there's two B's, and then I went and looked, and I'm like, no, there is only one B.
Yeah,
I had to actually go to your Facebook thing, like
just to make sure,
because it just kept fucking with me, dude. Like I'm not used to Weber with one B.
It's like the grill and the chalkboard eraser.
Do you know if that if the one B means anything?
Honestly,
does it change where your people are from?
From what I understand, it could have just been a change because we did change from von Weber, which I think was two B's. Me and my family's listening to this, corrected in the chat if I'm wrong, but. And yeah, like during the World War I or World War II, where we're trying to back away from that association, they took off the von, and I think they just changed the spelling.
Because I'm fascinated by this kind of stupid shit. Like how names so certain names are like directly after a river in a certain country, and if you know that name has stayed true, you can trace your lineage back to a certain river. Right, like, oh, we were the river people, and if you're lucky, and this all got wiped out mostly because of World War I and World War II, but if you're lucky, there's also records where you can find out and go back to 12, 13, 1400, find your old family crest and shit. But World War II wiped out almost all of that, so now we're just going on spelling, maybe some census records that slipped or immigration papers that slipped through the cracks, something that didn't get burned it's fucked. But I'm fascinated by that shit. Like I was telling you before the podcast, my buddy thought he was Irish, 100%. Found out he's super Russian. Super Russian. I'm like, that's why you like vodka so much. I was always wondering why you didn't like whiskey more.
Yeah, no shit.
You're supposed to be Irish. No, he's German, or not German. He's Russian as fuck. And I'm super mixed. And we know that through what we obviously know. And then I'm curious what the DNA will actually show up as. What percentages, if we're right about certain things and wrong about others. What if I'm not Jewish at all? How did we get a Jewish last name? And there's no...
You're just practicing and that's it?
I don't even practice. I'm not even a practicing Jew. I just joke that I'm Jewish because I have a bona fide Jewish last name. My exact spelling. And there's an argument in my family that has been going on for decades, whether we're Jews or not. And when my grandfather passed, his cousin, before he died, used to get drunk. And we'd all get in arguments as a family. We're one of those families that would drink and get in crazy arguments. And he would always storm off, and he was like, oh, who cares anyways? The Cantors have always been a bunch of Jews. And everyone thought he was just calling us, Jews.
Derogatory.
Just as a slang, oh, they've always been cheap. And then later on, he would go on these rants about how my grandfather was ashamed of being a Jew. And blah, blah. And, we were Jews, and then I started researching it just out of curiosity, found the thing about my own last name, did some more research, and it's I think he was 100% correct. And then I started asking some other people in the family, and they were like, yeah, you guys are definitely Jews. We've always known that. No one cares. Dixon's the only one that's ever cared. Huh. Dixon and your grandpa. It was always a thing with them. So I don't know. But then there's other people no, that's not true. That's completely bullshit. Where'd you hear that? And I'm like, so-and-so in the family. And they're like, I don't know about that. But the people that say it are they speak with conviction on it. They're like, yes, that's totally a thing. And everyone thinks it's stupid. No one cares.
Fair enough.
But you don't stumble into the spelling of that last name that way without there being some truth to the Jewish heritage.
I think for mine, Weber is German for weaver. I think. So maybe we wove things. I don't know.
Probably, yeah. I know a lot, and that's again what I was talking about. Like, it's either where you came from or like, what you did. So yeah, like somewhere in my family, whoever had the cantor name, it was the title of what you did in the church, which was singer. You were the head of the choir. You were the lead singer. So it was super ironic that I ended up singing in a band because it was meant to be. My family's musical, and then I quit singing. And it was super ironic that I changed my name to singer or translated it after I quit singing. Hilarious.
Huh.
Fucking stupid. But hilarious. Yeah, and like you said, with Weber, it's like Weaver. I know I had another buddy whose last name was Booker, and clearly they were bookmakers. You know, they made books.
Yeah.
Fucking one of my other buddies, I forget what his last name translated to. I'm not going to say his last name on the internet anyways, but it was fucking cool. And he was trying to mock me when I translated my last name. And he's like, oh, so since my name means this, should I translate my name to that? And I was like, fuck yeah, you should, because that shit's awesome, brother.
Yeah.
It was something like Hammer Fire or some shit like that. And I was like, hell yeah, you should name your fucking, you should translate your name and go to the court. That'd be awesome. But yeah. I don't know what the hell got us off on that tangent. Oh, it was because I was curious if you dropped a B. I'm also wondering because they fucking did weird shit when they moved here. They would drop letters just because they were lazy at Ellis Island.
Oh, yeah, fuck it. Minus a B.
Yeah. They might have done that. It could have just been a misspelling, a translation. Maybe everyone else added a B when they got here. You know, they dropped the, like, maybe most people had like a Von Miller, a Von Weber, and maybe they added the second consonant when they got here to make it more American or English. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But I'm always fascinated by the reasonings because some people know them. Some people, it's like a part of their family story.
I bet my uncle would know. I'll have to check with him. Oh, I think he actually he tried out for Dying Euphoria at one point.
Who's your uncle?
Jason Weber.
Why do I know that name?
He was the guy that punched Don Decker.
Jason Weber.
That's his claim to fame. Or no, he was the drummer of Nail Shut too.
How do I know that name?
He was in Ossuary Insane.
He definitely didn't audition for the band when I was in it.
No, he told me the story. He's a metal dude, like black metal, and he worked on his parts and he just nailed it and he's all happy. And then I think they were just looking for something more maybe metalcore versus just straight metal. And he said he was crestfallen. He used the word crestfallen.
That's epic.
When he didn't get in, he was so
excited.
That,
Jeremy Blake? You rude motherfucker! You made someone feel crestfallen.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever made anybody crestfallen.
I've never heard that used outside of a fantasy novel.
Seriously, I was like, damn, man.
I'm not even sure if you wouldn't have used it in that context. I'm not even sure I would have known what it means. You know what I mean, dude? Like, that's
that's a throwback term right there.
The only reason if somebody said define crestfallen, I would have definitely not said that correct.
Define crestfallen when Dying Euphoria picks a different drummer than you.
Man, it's so funny. That band got good after I left. It's funny. That band got better after each singer left, except for when I first left, they took a step back when Danny Z took my job. But then he left and Joe joined, and Joe was a big step up for them.
So really their secret to success was just to not have a singer, and that would have been perfect. Every time they got rid of a singer, they got better.
Joe's presence made that a better band.
Oh, really?
Like, for real, dude. He eventually was my roommate after that. Him and I became buddies. Like, he was a great singer, man. And that band, it's so fucking funny. It's a classic story. They finally start getting some traction. They finally really start doing some good shit, putting out good music, and then boom, they break up.
That's how it always happens. It really does.
You, number one rule is just don't stop.
Yeah.
That's what weeds most people out of the entertainment industry is they give up.
That's kind of, it's like, especially if you work at like an album. I've seen it so many times. You bust your ass in the studio, make this album, and then you get that big release show, and then after that, the band just kind of whittles away.
Yeah.
And it sucks because and I know the psychology behind it. It's like, okay, you worked your ass off, you got this result. Now you got to do it again. I'm like, fuck that.
And it's like, that's just the beginning of the work.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning of the work for that album. Like, and you know what my favorite was? You just reminded me of this. They do the CD release show. No one shows up.
Oh.
Because no one gives a fuck that you just dropped an album, dude. You're a local band. You remember how bands used to do that here?
Yeah.
Oh, CD release show. And there'd be like 85 people there. It'd be like, dude, we drew 800 people here last night to a non-CD release show. This is embarrassing. I remember when Dying Euphoria was getting ready to record a record or release a record, when I was still in the band, I remember, and dude, the members of the band got mad at me because I was really passionate about this idea. Because I was trying to think outside of the box, right? And it wasn't always about me trying to be smart and successful. It was oftentimes me trying to avoid disasters, right? And just trying to look at what's not working for everyone else and not falling into the same pitfalls. So I came up with what I felt was a brilliant idea. We do not do an initial CD release party when we leave town. Okay, so that's what bands would do, is they'd record this record, like you just said, all this work, right? You fucking finally get this payoff, you do this release show, no one shows up. You're heartbroken. And then you got to go on tour. Because you planned a tour. So I said, what if we did this backwards? What if we released our album online and gave everyone a chance to get it, you know? And then we immediately go on a short tour, whatever it is, and we do a welcome home show. That way people have a couple weeks to listen to the new record. They don't get to see us every night at the club.
Yeah.
They miss us. They're curious. And we get to come home from a tour. There's like a little bit different. And they were like, no. I don't like that idea. We got to do a CD release party. And I don't know if we ever did a CD release party. And I think if we ended up doing it, it either went really bad or we coupled it with a show where there was already something else going on.
I remember my last album release show with the Phoenix Philosophy. We got really lucky. Because number one, I mentioned we made that rock album. No one really gave a shit about it. But we happened to do on the same night that there was a Harry Potter pub crawl. And so the crowd was just swarming with like a couple hundred wizards and witches and shit. Everyone dressed up. I was like, okay, cool.
You should have filmed that one.
Otherwise, realistically, especially in this town, like the days of 500 people a show are, I haven't seen that in a long time. Like we're
talking pre-COVID.
Yeah,
I mean, it happens. It's rare.
We don't even we even set it up so we're always playing show like in town. If we're playing someplace, it's 7th Street. It's rooms that are 150 people.
Yep.
I think for our CD release show, we had Wither the Tie with Jeremy and Adam and Rich in that band. And then we had My Zero, Wheeler's band, and then we had Version 5. He does their singer does a lot of our post production on our videos, really good. And then us, I think we had just shy over 100 people for that, and that was a weekend show.
That's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah, you can still do it. It's not easy. It's really not easy because there has to be a buzz about going out that night. It has to be like, yeah, this is going to be great. And like, it's so hard to do you can still do it. I've done it. I've pulled it off in the past, but man, it is fucking tricky.
I think the most devastating I've been in a situation where I had a show I promoted my ass off for maybe like 10 years ago. It was at the Rock, and we played it, and there was maybe like 100, 200 people, and that was busting our ass for a month and a half or 2 months, whatever it was, on the promotion pipeline. The next night, air guitar contest, like 800 people.
I remember that.
Fucking air guitar. I was like, wow, I'm in the wrong business.
I remember that. That was air guitar guy. Yeah. And I remember them talking about that.
That was disheartening.
On K-Fan.
Yeah.
Fucking. Yeah, that shit's heartbreaking. Or same thing, like, man, I can't tell you how many times, to kind of bring it back where we started with the cover band thing, I can't tell you how many times in the beginning of my career where we'd struggle to get, 200, 300 people in a room. You remember this. This is way back when we were playing shows. And then the next night, some shitty cover band, not even a good cover band, some shitty cover band would come in that same room, 1,000 people. And you're like, what the fuck? Disheartening.
Yeah.
Just
and
a
the thing
gut
is,
punch.
On these cover shows and from playing them, I think when we did play cover shows versus the original shows, we drew more with our cover show, but they weren't there for us. We were background music.
Yeah, they were there for the evening. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
they're
the
there for
buzz of
themselves.
Going out. Yep.
And that's the key, I think, as far as a lot of these events. You have to make them an event that somebody can make about themselves, and you just happen to be there.
Yep.
That seems to be how it is, unless you are, rock star headlining the Myth or whatever.
No, I think you're right, man. And I think the industry is changing a lot. And that's why I brought up the idea, like the podcast and the extra content behind a Patreon thing, because I think that's what it's really about now, is building a community and being part of a community. And I think is what we should be doing as musicians, as bands, is taking inspiration from the comedians, specifically the LA comedy scene and what's happening now in Austin with Rogan moving there. Because the comedians realized a while back that you can try to just be a comedian, right? And you're going to struggle. You could even be a road comic, like a Patrice O'Neill, where he was making $2-3 grand a night or a week or a weekend or whatever. That's decent money. You can live a okay life on that. It's like what fucking, let's say it's only 2-3, or let's say it's $2 grand a weekend. You're still doing 4 of those a week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you're back home. That's still $8 grand a month. You're living a solid life. But then these guys realized they could, and I'm going way back into the history. Then they realized, but if you can do this comedy thing and then get a TV show or movies, right? Like Roseanne or Eddie Murphy or Steve Martin, go as far back as you want, even Richard Pryor. Name your comedian.
Sure.
Then I can get some fuck you money. And then I don't even have to do this bullshit comedy thing anymore. Swear to God. Look at them. How many people continued stand-up comedy after they got their TV shows?
Only ones that really liked it, honestly.
Right?
Like the Bill Burrs and the Joe Rogans.
And then all of a sudden podcasts came out. And some comedians jumped on right away. Mark Maron, Joe Rogan, some of those guys. Adam Carolla. But a lot of other guys resisted it for a long time until they had buddies who said, dude, do the podcast because your numbers on the road will go up. You'll sell more comedy tickets on the road. And they're like, really? They go, yeah. Okay. And then you come to the new generation of guys, which are not young kids. These are still grown-ass men. But then you get guys like Bert Kreischer, and you get guys like Bill Burr, and you get guys like Tom Segura and Joe Rogan, who make the podcast and their online presence and the extra content part of their brand. They build an entire community with their fans and with each other, like a big giant scene, like a fucking music scene. Now is it starting to seem a little bit more familiar, like what we used to have?
Oh, for sure.
Locally, we'd go to each other's show to show support, right? That's what they do. They go on each other's podcasts to support. Bert Kreischer talks about this regularly. You can't, if you really want to be successful and make a lot of money in comedy, you can't just do stand-up anymore, right? You got to have like a good Instagram presence. You got to know how to like basically edit down videos, shoot your own content, everything you're already doing.
Sounds very familiar.
And then you just got to keep hammering and figure out a way to market yourself to now it's not just the 8 million people in Minnesota, it's the 8 billion people in the world, right? So you get to do whatever the fuck you want now. We just have to figure out a way to monetize it. Now, luckily, some of us either made a lot of money doing certain things, so we're still doing okay, or some of us have really good jobs still, so we're doing okay. But a lot of musicians, good musicians, didn't build life skills, so they weren't able to get a job once COVID hit. There's a lot of motherfuckers that don't know how to edit video, record their own album, do any of those things. So they're fucking done with music now. They're just It's over.
Yeah, the game's changed and they're not keeping up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm getting at. So I think the reason we're not seeing crowds is because we're not relevant as musicians. Like we think of it like, oh, we want to be cool and elusive and fucking make it like mysterious and like, oh, come to our shows and listen to our records. But like, I think it's got to be more than that now, man. I think really, you have to have a whole package, a whole thing.
100%. And one of the big things is you have to have a person. You have to be a personality first, musician second. It almost seems like, and that's tough.
Or being 30 bands and work your ass off doing that. But then you're still always just attached to somebody else's wagon, which is fine if that's what you're going to be. You're going to be a jobber. You're going to be a session guy. You're going to whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine too. But if you want to do what we're doing, where it's like you have a band, you have an art, and you're trying to like make that as good and as successful as it can be. And guys go, oh, well, I don't do it for the money. And it's like, why not? You're already doing it. Why wouldn't you try to make money off of it? It seems like such a waste. Like, you already love it. You're already doing it. Why not monetize it?
Also, the fact that there's money, that's a measurement. If you're not making money, you're doing something wrong. Either your product
I just do it for a hobby. Fine. But what if your hobby could pay you instead of you paying it?
Yeah, or if you want to do it for a hobby, that's fine. Just hang out in your garage or basement. Just do it there.
Right.
It's
right. If that's the case, exactly. If that's the case, fine.
But then
don't complain about not getting people to shows.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you shouldn't even, if it's just a hobby to you, you don't even deserve to play shows, because there's too many bands out there that work way too hard because it means something more to them than just a hobby, and you're taking their spot on that bill that night. There's a band who really wants to make it, some young kids, and it's a hobby to you, then you shouldn't even be on my bill tonight, dude. I don't ever, if I ever start booking my own shows again, which I'll probably do a little bit of here and there.
Spam bar's got to retire sometime, right?
I know, right? If I ever hear a fucking band say that, if I ever find out, oh, it's just a hobby, you guys are just doing it for fun, like, you ain't on the bill then, dude.
Yeah.
Because, like, I would rather find some young 22-year-old group of kids who are trying to fucking make it and give them a shot in front of it, because they're also the band who's actually gonna bring people. Like, we're still doing this for money in some way, shape, or form, because here's the thing is, like, the bar has to make money, because if they don't make money, they don't want you to play at all.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest disconnects is between the bar or the promoter and the bands. It's like such a catch-22 thing. Like, the band's like, oh, I want to play here so we can get people to see us, and the bar's basically like, hey, we're not going to have you unless you can draw people. And that's been like the old catch-22 that's been around forever. It seems like.
Not only that, but it's like, it's even a step further, because they won't even have live music at all if they're not making money on that. So,
because it costs them money to do live music.
Exactly. They got to pay a sound guy. They have an electric bill, and running a fucking huge sound system to get it to sound really good and make it an enjoyable live music experience for you, that shit costs money.
Insurance.
Dude, there's so much that goes into it. It's like, putting on shows costs a lot of money, and there's tickets being charged here. So if you're doing it just as a hobby, again, fine. Like, let's say the show's doing really well. We pretty much already sold it out, and you're just one of my buddies, and you're like, hey, dude, fucking, I know we don't draw. We don't take this seriously, but, dude, like, throw us on as an opener. If I can pull it off, okay.
Yeah.
But don't expect to be paid at the end of the night either. Like, when I'm handing out hundreds, here's your 500, here's your 500, here's your 800, here's your 1,200. Don't be like, where's mine?
Yeah.
Be like, dude, this is a hobby to you. You just do this for fun, and I just put you in front of a crowd of 1,500 people. What do you mean, where's yours? You didn't promote? You didn't. And people are like, wow, that's a dick move. And it's like, it's a business. Like, and sometimes, we talked about this with Dave the other day, we lose money as the booker or the promoter.
Oh yeah, it's basically, you buy the talent and you try to make your money back on the ticket sales, pay off the band, pay off the bar, and then hope you have something left in your pocket.
Exactly.
It's a grind, and like he said, it's really hit or miss sometimes, especially on the club shows, those like one-off stops. And like, I feel bad. Like, I remember getting Dave would reach out for a couple of shows, and every time he did, I don't think we ever took one because I was doing the math, and I'm like, we're not going to help him out at all by doing this. We're going to cost him money, and then we're going to lose money. It's going to be lose-lose. And so, or I would try to find a band that was touring through and go, hey, I know this band, Fist of the Sky, or I think had them open up for Impaler,
sure,
or something like that. But just try to do something like, hey, I want to be a part of the cause and help out. I'll go there to support it, but I don't want to play it. I'm going to lose money, and you're going to lose money.
That's why nowadays when people have offered me shows in the past, even recently, I still get show offers because there's guys I know in the industry that don't keep tabs on whether my band is active or not. They're like, hey, hit up Jared. He's in that region. Hit him up. And sometimes I have a band, sometimes I don't. It's hilarious. Point being is I always have to ask them, like, so what's the ask? What's the deal? Like, not how much money am I getting paid? It's like, what are you expecting of us in order to fulfill our promise? So sometimes a guy will be like, can you sell 200 tickets? I'll be like, no. I'm not saying I can't get 200 people there, but I'm not going to pre-sell 200 tickets. If that's the request, I'm turning that show down right up front, because never once, this is something that we learned in the booking industry. In the rock industry, you guys would pre-sell tickets. In the music industry, we wouldn't. So there was a different percentage, and I learned this from Spanbauer. There was a different percentage of pre-sale tickets that you would use as your metric based on whether that was going to be a big night or not. So, like, I can't remember what the actual percentage was, but let's say it was the day of the show, right? And like literally you wake up, it's 8 a.m. It's going to be a 1,500 person venue. If it's a rock show, and I'm just making up this percentage because I don't remember what it was, but it was a huge difference. Like, you want to see, if you know it's going to be a big night, you want to see like 50% pre-sale tickets. So 750 pre-sale because it's a rock night. Oh shit, it's going to be a big night. Yep, got to call the extra staff. On a metal show, it's the difference was it was like 10%. So if it's the same venue at 1,500 people, if you've got 150 pre-sales, like, you're still calling those same, it's going to be a big night. Now, those numbers sound insane, and they're probably exaggerated. You know, I'm probably punching them up or punching them down, but I remember, I forgot where I was going with this. What were we talking about before that? What were we talking about right before that?
We're basically talking about suicide shows.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. Because depending on where you were at as the booker as well, you might have had to pay a room rental fee. Mm-hmm. You might have to hire your own sound guy for the night, and both of those costs could be anywhere between $250 to $500 a piece. So right there, you're $1,000 in, and that doesn't even include what you have to do to pay the actual talent that's coming through the door.
Yeah.
Which, who knows what you paid. So then you're doing all this backtrack math, and like, I don't know. There's other shady fucks who just don't pay people. Like, you can figure out. But they might, this is the thing, is the bar owner in that case is always going to win, because he's getting paid a minimum of $250 to $500 for you to just do your thing.
Yeah, he's essentially just paid, like, just renting his bar out to the highest bidder, basically, or just, yeah, here's a bar, I'm winning, I'm getting it, and
yep. All he has to have is the right insurances and an entertainment license.
Dude, do you remember Trucaderos?
No.
Okay, so there was like a club that they would rent to promoters, just like fly-by-night promoters that would come in town, and they would essentially rent out the room, and then they would get bands that no one's ever heard of, variety hour, battle the bands, and try to get them on a pre-sale. Like, whoever sells the most pre-sale wins the battle of bands. Like, oh, what's the price? 4 hours of recording. Some dumb
There's
shit
a
like that.
lot of fucking
like,
little rackets like that. Yeah. Trucaderos didn't ring a bell, but that idea struck a nerve, because I've been approached with shit like that before in the past. Like, hell no, I'm not doing that weird ass shit.
Yeah.
Fucking obviously a scam.
Really quick, I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
All right, throw your questions in the chat, guys. I know a bunch of you guys are actually watching, so throw them in here now. That way, when he gets back, we can actually answer some of y'all questions. I was supposed to have a thing here that does it for me, but it's not working today, and I just don't understand why. So throw your questions in the chat. I should have had him cue up a track. I gotta quit dropping the ball on this too. I think he did send Peanut. You're gonna get kicked out. You can't be barking like that. Sorry, guys. Peanut promised she was gonna be cool and allow us to hang out without being noisy, and she's a damn liar. My dog is barking up a storm. All right, here we go. He did send me a track. I'm gonna see if we can play it. See if we can get it out of here quick. Here it is. Hopefully this works right away. Hopefully it doesn't go wonky on us. Boy, anyway. Jesus, that's loud. Okay, you guys can't hear this, can you? Okay, I know why. I got it. Jesus, it's loud. It's probably good you couldn't hear that, because that shit was deafening. Even for me, and I like it loud. Here we go. Oh, that's way better. All right, so that apparently is a song you haven't released yet.
Whoops.
Well, you did now.
Yes, there it is. Coming out sometime in March.
Yeah, we were just talking about that tune, and like it's mind blowing how much heavier that is than what you were doing in the Phoenix Floss, and you're just kind of saying that was what you were trying to get that band to get towards.
Yeah, it was always with the Phoenix philosophy was like, how can we be heavy in different ways? Which was like, okay, instead of using heavy guitar, we're going to start using heavy synths. And we were trying to kind of go that direction. And it eventually we started getting there, but just we didn't have the guitar player we have now. That's his heart and soul is rock, metalcore, post-hardcore. And
Crazy.
so yeah, now he's really helping drive the song writing process. Like him and I will get together or we'll stream or do whatever, and we'll write a lot of stuff together.
So this song's not out yet, but if people thought it was cool and they want to get ready to hear it, they can follow you, and it's The Failsafe on Spotify, or you're on iTunes, I assume. All
yes, that. Amazon Music, all that fun stuff.
You can. This is one of the coolest things I think about that, especially if you're like me and you pay the stupid $10-15 a month thing for unlimited streaming and downloads. I can find your band and follow it, and then when you release new music, I wake up that day and it's already there and downloaded, and I get a notification for it. Hey, this band just released a new recording.
It's nice.
They can also go to wearethefailsafe.com, and
that's kind of like our everything.
Yeah,
so
that's
our
the
merch.
That's the hub. That's what people need to be doing. We were talking about that earlier. I love that.
Yeah.
We got sidetracked on that, but I love that you're doing that. Just go to wearethefailsafe.com. Links in the description, and you guys can find them through there, the spider web of any of the social medias, all that good shit.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. I think it's cool, man. And I was saying, too, it reminds me of like a heavier version of Don Bracco with a better singer. I'm one of the only people I know that even know.
I'm just flattered that you referred to me as better than somebody.
Yeah, a hell of a lot better than I am, but that's also a low bar, so that's not really a compliment. That's almost like a backhanded
you can probably scream better than I can.
Maybe back in the day I could have.
I bet you probably could right now.
Maybe.
We're joking. We're like, okay, I have a shitty scream. You have a shitty scream, and you have a shitty scream. But when we combine them together, we have a good scream.
There you go. I do love the pitch screams. One guy goes low, one guy goes high, and then if you got a good mid range, that's a crazy sound.
That's basically what we have.
It's like a 3-part harmony with screaming.
Yeah, it's a 3-part screaming harmony.
It's great. It's great. No, if I really wanted to get my scream back, I would need literally. I swear to God, here's what I need. Because I've done this multiple times. I need 3 rehearsals a week. Where in that time, I do a full. I start out this whole process is going to take 3 months of this. So 3 times a week we get together. The first time I can only do one song. I do one song, and then we dick around, we write, we rehearse, we practice, whatever, and then at the end of the night I do the same song. 2 days later on Wednesday, I do 2 songs at the beginning and the end, and then 3 songs on Friday until we get up to the full 45 to an hour set. And then, so once we got the full thing, I show up, we do that full hour set, and then we take another hour where we work on shit, we tighten shit up, we practice things, maybe we rewrite a part, whatever, and then at the end of the night, I do that 1 hour set. I need to do that whole arc for a total of 3 consecutive months in order for me to like literally condition and strengthen my voice to where I can break it without actually damaging it. Otherwise, it just sounds raspy. It's just like bleh, like Cookie Monster. There's a grit and a burn that takes a long time for me to get back in there. And
so you're not just gonna jump on stage with us and do a part?
I mean, I could probably get away with one song. You know, I did a fill-in for Dying Euphoria a while back, and I made it halfway through that set on about 2 weeks worth of prep. 10 days, I think I had. And I made it about halfway through the set, and then my voice just boop. And it was more because of the physical conditioning. Like, I wasn't able to get my body in shape to have the stamina to go through a full fucking 45 to 60 minute set.
That was a big difference between this band and the last one is I don't play keyboard in this band live. And so I just have a mic and I'm running around the stage. But to do everything, the jumping, the spinning, the running around, it's physical conditioning. Yeah. It's like shit. You're like, okay, I have to sing now. I'm fucking torched.
Dude, I used to have to go jogging.
Yeah. It's like
on tour and shit.
You have to like get your cardio up, man.
Yep.
And
days of shows, I'd wake up, like literally we'd be partying the night before. I'd wake up and I'd be like, I'd kick the guys. Hey, wake up. I'm going jogging. You coming? Fuck no, I ain't doing no jogging. I'm like, all right, have a good show later, dummy. And I'd be the only one that'd make it through the set without just. But you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Especially if you're partying. That's even more important. You work out that morning before the show. Give yourself all day to recover and then perform again that afternoon or that night.
We don't do much hard partying anymore. The cover stuff, I mean, you had to just get through it, or at least we did. But in the Failsafe, it's more, most of the places, like, we're not really I wouldn't really consider us a Minnesota band at this time. We don't have a lot of ties to the local scene. We spend more time playing in the neighboring states than here because the draw and the pays better.
That's smart.
But it's like, we have to gear up for a ride home. If it was a weekend show or a tour, we're going to the next place, or we're trying to figure out where we're going to stay or which couch we're going to sleep on. So it's like, I'm not trying to party. I'm trying to go to sleep and be able to do this tomorrow.
That's why it's almost more important to have a tour manager and a driver than it is roadies.
Yeah.
Because then I'll load my gear up, but I want to be able to have 2-3 beers and not have to worry about driving. I don't ever want. That's one of I love driving, not on tour. I'm not touching that wheel. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
We have our drummer. He's our primary driver, and
Does he enjoy it?
Yeah, he prefers to do it. It's his truck.
Is he a control freak?
I don't know. I can't call him a control freak.
He is, isn't he?
Sorry, Chad. Sorry.
He's a control freak.
He likes to have everything prepared, everything set. Like, he'll spend most of the time at the show getting his drums just right, and he usually won't have a drink until after he plays the set, where I like to at least have a drink or two before the set.
I'm a 1 beer guy with a water before the set, and then as long as I'm not singing, when I was singing it could be no booze. Any booze would fuck my throat up.
Really
bad. Like, even just a couple sips of beer, it would just fuck my voice up. Like, it was bizarre. But as soon as I started playing drums, I had this weird thing live. It was either a Mountain Dew or a Coke, a water, and a beer on stage next to my drum kit.
Jeez.
And I would down all 3 of them during a performance. But I couldn't do it buzzed. And so same thing. It would be a water and a beer before I went and played drums on stage. And then when I was on stage, it was a beer, a water, and a soda. Either a beer or a Mountain Dew or like a Coke or something like that. Sometimes only a Sprite. And it was more about the sugar than it was the caffeine.
I always have to do.
Fucking loved it.
I like to do a vodka Red Bull because I need a little bit of a jolt before the show to, like, be social with people and to talk to everybody.
Vodka to calm the nerves.
Yeah, and of course, just downing water. And there's been shows where you're sick, and it's like I make a concoction of tea and honey and cough drops and just shake it up and drink it, and it's gross. But yeah, you have to have the energy not just to play the show, but you're just, the show is the whole fucking night. Mm-hmm. It's like you need to be that person all night. You need to talk to everybody there. You need to think the shit out of them. You need to.
You do, because you're the singer. I don't.
Yes.
That's why I quit doing it.
The Chad, like, yeah, that's exactly what Chad's like, okay, I'm going to go back behind the stage with my drum set. You go up there. I'm like, oh, okay. Yep. Like, set the merch table and walk around and talk to people. And yeah.
That's your job. Yep.
Yeah.
I like doing the other jobs in the band, being a guitar player or being a drummer, because especially me, like, my personality, I'll do my job. I'll make sure I don't screw anybody else in the band. Like, I pull my weight. I do my part. But other than that, like, my vibe is like, I get to do whatever the fuck I want. Like, that's what my vibe is, and that's what works for me, and that's what, like, helps the band. Is like, if I'm stuck behind the merch table, I'm fucked. If I'm stuck doing X, Y, and Z, like, oh, dude, it's just, it'll grind on me. Like, no, let me do my part. Let me help the band out, get you guys all set up. The singer has to be out there doing that. Let me go do my thing. And that's when I would stumble across the fucking friendships, the connections, like, bigger opportunities. But if you stick me in the wrong spot where I don't get to do my whatever the fuck I want vibe, I don't meet those people. Our band doesn't get invited onto another tour or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know where the stereotype of like singers not helping. I don't know where they got away with that or where they're allowed to do that, because I always have to help and lift things and carry things, and
I always
like,
actually
where do I sign up for that deal?
I always back that one up. I don't want my singer lifting gear. I don't need you throwing your back out. I don't need you doing anything weird, tripping, falling, fucking nope. Go be a diva before the stage. I don't even want you checking your own mic. Like, as a singer, stay back there until the show starts.
Gosh,
like, keep the mystery alive. You're the rock star. So you don't check your own mic, you don't lift gear. I don't even want to fucking see you. I don't want the fan. No one gets to see you until the lights come on and you walk out on stage and start singing. That's how you get introduced to the rest of the crowd.
Dude, I remember.
However, after the band is done and the show is over, it's the invert. You have to do all the mingling and hanging out with people afterwards, and we get to go fuck off. Like,
yeah,
you know,
dude, I remember this show.
Suck
it was a cover show. I show up to the studio with the van. I load everyone's gear, the drum set, the PA, the lights, drive to the venue, knowing the band's there yet. I set up all the gear, run the sound check, do the light check all by myself. Then finally the band showed up. I'm like, what the fuck?
Everyone's fired at that exact moment. Like, you're all fired.
It's like, where do I get in on the deal of not having to do shit?
Either that or you're all on shit shoveling duty for the next 6 months. One of the two. There's got to be retribution for that.
Seriously.
What time is it? It's only 2. Nice. Coming up on the second hour. How much longer you want to go, dude? We've only been going like an hour and a half.
I'm good as long as you want.
I always like going the 3 hours because the podcast, we start getting into the good stuff in the second hour. Like,
so everything else is just shit already.
I mean, it's always fun. It's especially if we already know each other, you know, and have a history. There's cool shit we can get into right away. But I'm not the only one either. Like, it's not because I suck at this, which I do. I know I do. I've heard Rogan say it too. I've heard every podcaster who does a true long form one. And that's why it'll take longer to build a following on a 3-hour long form podcast. But once it takes off, people like it more. If you try to just do that little 1 hour thing, you're in and out too fast. If you're going to do 1 hour, you need to be an elite level interviewer. You got to be able to get in, get the good stuff, and get out in a very segmented interview, really.
Well, I like having that background on the back while you're working or, you know, doing something around the house, like either this show or I like what's it called? Like the Rum Dumpster podcast that Wheeler does.
With Wheeler.
Yeah, I like just have that on the background and just listen to it and while I'm doing stuff.
They started that one a while back and they're finally kind of starting to figure it out. The first two, you know, I talked to Wheeler about this. The first couple were a little rough because they didn't even know what they were going to be. They didn't even know what they were doing yet. Admittedly, they were like, we don't know what we want to do with this, what we're going to be trying and experimenting. And I feel like they're starting to kind of figure out a direction and they're starting to kind of hone in on themselves, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Greg's got a great podcast in Ritual Madness. I don't know if you checked that one out, but he's finally back. He's now got shit on YouTube. He used to have a great podcast. It seems like it's like metal, but he's had hip hop cats on there. You guys should go on there, dude. Next time you're in town, I'll see if I can get him to time it up with you. He does his on Friday nights. So if we do a better job of timing things and we want to promote things, next time you're back in town, if you have something timed up, we'll get it set up to where you can do mine on a Thursday and then you'll pop over and do his on a Friday night.
Oh, that'd be dope.
But he books out kind of like I do, pretty far. So, we won't be able to squeeze you in last minute or anything.
Sure.
But, same thing I talked about earlier is we're kind of trying to do that same deal. It's like, because his podcast is great too, man. He's a better interviewer than I am. Similar format, but different style. Definitely not the same podcast. Definitely a huge different group of people. He does his on Facebook Live, and it's crazy, man. He'll get like 700 views on some of them and shit.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and then he uploads it to YouTube, where I just go straight live to YouTube. I don't give a fuck. I'm not chasing views. They'll build. If it's a good podcast, people will eventually watch it.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that. Like, especially when you're starting off and you're spending all this time and dedication on perfecting your content, and then you're getting like 50 people to look at it versus, a year into it where you got all this momentum, and then you're like, damn, I wasted all that time and no one saw it. I want to re-release it almost at that point. So it's like, yeah, just get it out there. People catch on.
Yeah, it's especially because like you got to understand like what we're doing, whether you're doing comedy or you're doing a podcast or you're doing music or whatever, tomorrow somebody new is going to discover you. And same thing after the next day and the next week and the next month. Like every day it's going to be somebody's first time seeing you. And so you want to have that library of shit out there. So once somebody finds you, if they're really into you, you have enough content to keep them engaged.
Yeah, because after a while, they just want more.
Yeah.
If it's slightly less quality, then they're usually tolerant of that.
That's why I was asking it about the Spotify thing you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. Like, okay, if I'm going to release a single and do it the way you did it to kind of beat the algorithm, so to speak, or beat them at their own game, if I'm only allowed to do that like once a month, that could kind of like, I don't think when you first start out, I don't think one song is enough to satiate listeners in between songs. But if you could even do one a week or one a day.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is with songs, it's not just the audio. I mean, Spotify is one thing, but every song is its own campaign. It has its own photo shoot. It has its own music video. It has its own art.
That sounds so fucking tedious.
It keeps people engaged. It gives us something to do, so we're just kind of rolling with it.
God, if that's what we're in for, we're going to be weeding out a lot more musicians.
Yeah, honestly, like, as crazy as this whole COVID situation has been like the ultimate equalizer.
Yep.
You'll have this band in town that will be able to draw, a couple hundred people. They're top of the mountain or whatever, but they haven't figured out how to do all the marketing, or they don't want to put in that work. And now they can't play that. They're on the same level as everybody else. So whoever's working the hardest at making content and maximizing those social media wins, no matter how big they were before it started. So it's
true.
It's interesting. That's our inspiration. So
it's not just about work ethic anymore. It's innovation. It really is, because like you could have been the hardest working band and been playing 200 shows a year, and that could have been your bread and butter for 10 years.
Yeah.
And each one of you's taken home $100,000 a year and you're killing it. It's great. And then COVID hits and now you're fucked because you have a great work ethic, but you weren't innovative. Like you said, it's the great equalizer. Like it brought, oh my God, it's hilarious. Like I think comedy got hit way worse than us, but I've seen it from us. I've seen it in our industry as well, because these big bands that suddenly have to do live streams, and it's like, they suck. I know local bands that are better than this, but I just seen these guys on tour last year and they sounded like the biggest band in the world. Like, holy fuck. I didn't even know you could fucking fix it that much.
Yeah.
I've been doing live music for 20 fucking years and I didn't know you could fucking polish a turd that well. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah.
But comedy's way worse, because there's some people that seemed like they were funny.
And you can't fake shit either, because with comedy, like Zoom comedy, you don't get that feedback.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's
the great equalizer.
Yeah,
because now the local comedians here, it's cringy. But you go watch some of these pro guys that are doing these live streams from LA. Just start a fucking podcast at that point.
Yeah,
like Giannis Papa, that motherfucker. Is it Giannis Papa or Giannis Pappas? Either way, that motherfucker has a podcast, and it's basically him doing stand-up, but it's just him directly into a cam, and there's like one or two other guys off to the side that are helping him produce, and he just rants. He doesn't wait for a fucking applause break or a laugh. He just goes off. That works. Do that then.
I like what Wheeler's done too, John Wheeler, and
he edits it down.
Yeah, I keep talking about your other guests on the show, but yeah, he's a funny ass dude.
Yeah,
and he did stand up and did open mic nights and things like that. Club Underground, something like that. And anyway, like during podcasts or during the pandemic, he started doing these shorts and they're funny as shit.
They are, dude.
Oh my God,
he's getting
great.
better at them.
Yeah.
He's doing quicker ones. He's doing longer ones. He's doing all kinds of shit. Yeah. If you guys are curious who we're talking about, just go to my main page at the bottom of the page to the featured channels. I think it says check these guys out too or something like that. The Alchemical Cocktail Lounge. Make sure you guys hit subscribe. He's got some good shit coming out over there. And that guy's a phenomenal musician as well. But yeah, not only did he get out of the music business, he got into comedy, but then when COVID hit, he was one of the first ones to pivot.
Yeah, innovating.
He's like, oh, okay, let me do this instead. Now he doesn't even know if he wants to go back to doing regular stand-up. He's like, I'm having so much fun doing this.
It's so much more controlled, and it's
crazy.
It's easier to...
You got to love live performing to be one a stand-up comic or a true musician.
Yeah, I mean, I do love live performing. Honestly, I really do.
What is it for you?
It's a couple things. Number one, it's the work that goes into, like, playing in front of nobody sucks. So, like, for me, live performing, there has to be people. I need to feel that energy so I can give it back. And otherwise, if there's nobody there, I just have to fake it and pretend there's people there to give it back. But for me, it's about busting your ass, working with all the other bands and the promoter on the show, getting people in the door, seeing all your fans, your family, your friends there supporting you, and just feeling the energy and just being able to just completely let fucking loose on stage. It's an adrenaline rush.
Right. It's addicting too.
Yeah. And then at the same time, like if you're jumping on like a Suicide show, hey, could you jump on this Thursday night new band night thing or at the Rock or whatever it was back in the day, where there'd be 10 people if you're lucky, and it's just disheartening. That was not me.
No, that was me. I don't think they heard that though.
Okay. But yeah, it's like, it can be very...
I can't shut that off.
Really? Yeah, it's like really gut-wrenching if there's nobody there. I have nightmares.
Really?
Coming up to like a big show that I'm playing there. I'm about to get on stage. My band's fucking around, like, doing that thing that some bands do where they don't use their tuner and they're like doing that. Like they're doing that in my dream. Just fucking around like drummers during the bass check and everything. And I'm like waiting to get on stage and the promoter's all pissed off. Like, hey, hurry up, get on there. Nobody's there. I'm like, oh, fuck. I've had this dream numerous times, whether I'm at Urban Wildlife, whether I'm at the Nomad, whether I'm at 400 Bar, whether I'm at Fine Line. Like I've had the dream in multiple places.
That's so funny, dude.
Before a show. And it's just like, usually the show doesn't go that way. I mean, it hasn't yet, thank God, but there's been some shitty shows in my day.
I don't think I've ever had a nightmare about performing. I don't think it's ever happened.
As a musician, and being able to, deal with booking agents and, have a little bit of time doing a little bit of booking, I am my performance is almost secondary to like how many people are going to get there. Like I got the performance down. I'm good there. I don't need to worry about it, but I'm more worried about people coming in the door.
Right.
And it's stressful. Like
you're not alone on that. There's huge stars that are still worried about that. Like I heard about Ozzy Osbourne freaking out one time. Like he's about to go out. Fucking Henry Rollins walks off stage and Henry Rollins is like, dude, what are you freaking out about? He's like, oh man, what if there's nobody there? He's like, dude, it's a sold out crowd. You're Ozzy. Go perform. Like even he was worried about that still. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you're not alone. It's not like you're a freak or there's something weird. I mean, other than the fact that you're a musician, so you're a little nuts. Like all musicians are a little fucked up.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's nothing wrong with you.
I remember just doing sound checks, like, and this is pretty much everywhere. Doing the sound check, I'm checking the door during sound check. Like, God, I hope like 10 more people get in here.
I definitely felt that way at the beginning. Now and it definitely mattered more when I was a lead singer because you're out there in front and you need the crowd more. When I played drums, it didn't bother me as much. And towards the end of my singing career, it didn't bother me as much either. I just really didn't care at the end because I got off on all the auxiliary shit, right? So it was like I started, like, it was the smell of the room, the fucking beer-soaked carpet, the fucking stale cigarette smoke if you're in a smoking club. When the sound check starts and it's the drummer on that kick drum and you can actually feel it shaking the stage. Yeah, and then he slowly turns up the sub. Like, and then, oh man, it gives me a rush. And then we all do the sound check and then you hit that song that sound check song. Okay, full band. And you do that song and there's nobody in the room. I'm in. Like, it's the same feeling I get at rehearsal. And it's that purity of just being there doing that. It really, if I find out we're going on and there's nobody there, I turn to my band and I go, all right, it's a glorified rehearsal. You know, if this is fucking with you emotionally right now, just close your eyes. Imagine you're 10 years old and you're standing on your coffee table in your living room pretending there's 10,000 people. Get back into that mindset.
There's been shows like that throughout time, and every single time that happens, I just am talking to the band. I'm like, guys, thank you for being up here with me. Thank you for doing this. Thank you guys are fucking awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Is the first thing I say, because like I feel responsible for it, I guess.
Never apologize like that. Never do that.
And then I feel even worse for the promoter if that was ever happened. But there are shows that weird shit happens where there's hardly anybody
I would
there.
never ever, if I were your manager, I would tell you never ever apologize again on stage like that. Like maybe walk up to the promoter or the bar owner and apologize afterwards privately, but don't do that on stage.
No, I wouldn't say that on stage in the microphone. I just, quietly to the guys,
gotcha.
guys, I'm so sorry.
I thought you were like coming up to the mic. Sorry, guys, I apologize. There's no one here.
No. But
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I found out I'm also very irritable during sound check.
Really?
Yeah,
like moody.
I don't want to hear a single guitar strum that's not going through that tuner until their time to go is. And if they're playing,
I get a little touchy with that.
I
too.
don't want the drummer to touch his shit. I don't want the bass. I don't want to hear any of it. I just want bass, guitar. I just want that to be as smooth as possible. And
I've gotten a little touchy and fussy about that too.
There was a time where we would practice tear down and setup.
Yep.
Stopwatch.
Yep.
We're setting up lights. We're setting up gear. We're going to get a level check, and we need to do this in under 3 minutes.
Yep. It can be tough, but it can be done.
Yeah, and so we'd practice that.
Because you really got 15 or 20. But...
Well, it depends. If you're doing a national show and you got like a 20-minute set, and it's like...
I mean, but then you're going to be backlined.
Well, sometimes they're douches, and they'll make you like set up your drums on the side of the stage and shit, like because someone has to have the fucking drum riser. Can't touch that.
Yep. Yeah, but usually if they're going to do changeovers that are 5 minutes or less, you're almost always backlined and pre-rigged. They just slap the mics in front of you, rip the tape off, move the levels, go.
And I'm paranoid about that shit. So like I'm like sneaking back between everyone else's change order if we are backline, making sure it's plugged in, making sure this is going, and just like sneaking like connections here and there. When we have a light show, when we bring a light show, it's just like 8 LEDs that are synced up to our music. I'm plugging in the DMX cables like behind the stage, like just sneaking on when the other bands are changing over, just being a dick.
That used to drive me nuts about local shows when they would do each sound check for each band.
Yeah, that's
like in a line. So like when we used to get really good shows together, so like you do an actual sound check in front of 800 people. It's like, dude, we should have all done a sound check, like a real show, like headliner, direct support, featured act, and opener, and then opener plays like as soon as they're done with sound check. Like we open doors when they start their sound check. So as soon as they're done with their sound check, there's already people there, and they just start their fucking set, and boom, and then we roll in reverse, and you pull the tape off, and you can shorten those changeovers from 20 minutes to 5 minutes, and just keep the action rolling, man.
I think my favorite sound check was First Avenue Main Room.
Of course,
it was like you had to get there early as shit, but everybody
like a 2 p.m. load in or something like that.
Yeah,
I never played Main Room.
It was like you got treated different being in the main room versus the entry. And the entry, there's like, hurry up, get shit done.
They're irritated with you.
Irritated. They're pissed off that you're a musician playing. But
it's exactly how it felt.
First that, they're like, hey, can I get you anything else? Do you want more of this? Hey, oh, you have a light show? No problem. We'll just put this right here. Yeah, just let me know how it works. Just like super patient and super nice. Like, yeah, I'm really excited to see you play. I'm like, holy shit. Can you like work next door in a few months?
So when did you play main stage? What band was that in? Phoenix Philosophy?
Yeah.
So how did you get that show? Was it a battle of the bands or?
No, it was a CD release show for another local band.
No shit.
Yeah. And there was like 4 or 5 local bands on it.
That's awesome. See, that's the power of networking. Like, because you don't always need to know the same people, just the right people.
I do think we ruined it for every other rock band though, because we drew 900 and they wanted 1300 or something like that.
Ooh, yeah, they don't fuck around in that.
So that was probably like the last time we just ruined it for everybody. Sorry.
I remember when I had a buddy. I'm not going to name his name, but he had the ability to book that room himself, and he hit me up one time, and he's like, "Here's the deal, man. I think it was Monday through Thursday." He's like, I can get any of those nights, but we have to draw a minimum of 500 people. And I was like,
on a weeknight, fuck.
I was like, I don't think I can do it. Not on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday. I just don't think we can pull it off, dude. Like maybe 200. And he's like, no, dude. He's like, we need 5. And I was like, dude, I would need a Friday, Saturday night, and I would need to spend money. Like, we just don't have that kind of following to pull that off.
On a weeknight,
Fuck. But he would book it, and he would find the right bands, and they'd get 500 people there. And for the longest time, that was like the minimum, was 500 people there. Because what did they sell out at? 1,500?
Yeah.
So they wanted 13. Yeah, because it's expensive to run a show there. I don't think people understand the cost of doing shows in that room.
They have such a huge fucking staff.
What is it, like 15 grand just to do a show?
I heard
that's
it was
what their
more than
overhead. Maybe it is. Maybe it's like 30 now. But it's it's an absurdly large amount, and most of it, isn't it, property taxes and building rent, right?
I imagine it is. I know that a lot of the sound guys are like, yeah, I drove in from Iowa, or they weren't local,
right?
So that can't be cheap.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Like, it's fucking insanely expensive to do a show.
Yeah. That catwalk was cool. It was kind of like the Star Central catwalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that just like a little nib? Like a little...
I thought they had extensions to make it longer.
Maybe they did.
Oh, dude, you know what I'm thinking of? Never mind. I'm thinking of Wasp. I think they were at the Urban or Star Central, but they actually brought their own.
I remember that. That was Star Central. That was Star Central.
Okay.
Do you know what that band stands for? The initials?
No.
The acronym? It's originally We Are Sexual Perverts.
Oh, well, then maybe they deliver what they promise. I don't know.
They definitely were a bunch of fucking freaks back in the 80s. Now they're a bunch of old men. And did you know, I think it was the last guitar players, there was a pair of them, I believe, from Wasp that went on to start Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, shit.
Who our whole scene also had a run-in. We were talking about him.
Yeah, I listened to that, yeah.
Fuck those guys.
They were on the radio on the way here, too.
Were they?
Yeah.
Fuck those guys.
Dude, I don't know what's up with 93X. Maybe I've never noticed this, but since I've been back here, every single day I'm hearing multiple Death Punch songs, multiple Metallica songs, and then like just bizarre stuff like pumped up kicks, like Weezer, and this like things like I'm like this. I don't associate this with rock.
Yeah, I don't know. The last time I actually listened to 93X, Patrick was probably still on.
Oh shit!
Like when I turn on the radio, I listen to sports talk radio.
Dude, I'm the same way.
Like if I want to listen to music, it's coming out of my phone. Like I pay that $15 a month. I can download and stream as much as I want. You guys get paid. Like I've used the shit out of that iTunes.
I do the YouTube.
I definitely get my end.
I always do YouTube, just like do a podcast.
You pay the premium?
No, oh. I do occasionally do the month free, and then like once it wears off, I cancel it.
Is it worth it? Like, is it good? I've heard out of all the cutting the cord services, I heard the YouTube Premium is hands down the best one.
If you really like YouTube and you're following a lot of stuff on YouTube, it is.
But I thought you could like watch real shit on YouTube.
Oh,
now.
I didn't explore that much.
Yeah, like I think if you have the premium thing, you get access to like it's like.
Yeah, I just remember they had
or whatever.
They had the Cobra Kai on there exclusively on YouTube, and then I got the free trial just to watch Cobra Kai, and now it's on Netflix. So whatever.
That's an awesome show,
dude. I love that show because that reminds me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I loved Cobra Kai. I liked Danny LaRusso, and I would tell him that I was like fuck Ralph Macchio, like that dude sucks, and like I was on that train like back when I was like 6 and 7. And then it became a meme, and then the meme became a series, and I feel vindicated.
my favorite part of it is like, yeah, if you were a real fan, you never let the Karate Kid trope go. So I remember working at Guitar Center, and like people just made the most random pop culture references to each other, including me. And one time my boss was out of town, so I went into his office, and because I was a department manager, right? And so I was trying to like make everybody motivated to sell some shit, and I basically stole a bunch of lines from Cobra Kai, which culminated with, and then I just held up a fucking printed out thing, and it was what's his name going, sweep the leg.
Oh, Crease.
Yeah, and I was like, that's the way I ended it. It was just hyperbole. It was all supposed to be good and fun, and it worked. And so I stapled that in the boss's office. I just stapled it to the wall, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "It's Karate Kid." Fuck out of here! What are you talking about? And as soon as my boss got back from out of town, he walked in. He was like, "That's awesome. Who put that there?" I was like, "That was me." He was like, "That thing's great. I love that movie."
I actually have a still of Crease on our Instagram somewhere.
Really?
Because I was watching it for some
reason. Have you checked out the Reaping Asmodeus shirts?
No.
They did a Cobra Crew.
Ah.
I wish I would have worn that one now. Today I'm wearing the Son Mothra shirt for Justin Boney's band. I don't think you guys can get a good look at it on this cam. Sorry, bud. But
it's there. I see it.
It's fucking wild. That artwork is insane.
Yeah, holy shit.
Their album covers are pretty fucking crazy too. They're in that stack of CDs. I gotta find a place because people bring me merch and shit. I want to find a way to like display the albums and CD covers that everyone's brought me. Because right now I can stick Glenn Wadey's behind the glasses there so everyone can see the Grand Machine. And when you walk up there, it even kind of looks cool because you see it through the glass and it warps it. But I also got somebody else's one up there, but you can't really see them. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. I'll end up filling up the walls.
Yeah.
It'll look like a comic book store in here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe I'll just get a picture frame, right? And I'll put a bunch in there and then frame that and stick that up like in the middle of the guitars. Like,
or you can just like have one in the background, just switch it out. Make that part of the show.
Seems like a lot of work, dude.
It does. Some extra shit that I'd probably do.
I threw my buddy Anthony D's Rock the Cities hat up there. I don't know if you guys can actually see that outside of the main shot. Even in the main shot, you can barely see it back there, but it's on top of the speaker. Yeah, you can't really see it. You can kind of see it in your shot a little bit, but
just a little bit. Yeah,
it's too far back there. But that thing's cool, dude. Like if you're trying to check out weird new ideas, like people being innovative, like we're talking about, especially during COVID, right? This motherfucker basically figured out all the logistics, and he's done it twice, and he wants to do it all over the country. It's one of the coolest ideas I've ever heard. It's called Rock the Cities, and it's basically a live concert in parade format. So like, especially with social distancing and COVID and all that shit, he already has the logistics figured out. And so you just get on the back of a flatbed and you throw down, and they drive at 1 or 2 miles an hour.
Oh shit, I've done that before.
In like a parade style format.
Yeah.
I think he should do it with more than one band. So like you spread them out so they're like a quarter mile from each other, and you get like 16 flatbeds, 16 bands, and you do it. So
see, I didn't do the slow thing. What we did is we had all of our
down
gear.
The highway.
We did our
at
gear
55 miles an
Fuck
hour.
no.
That would be cool too.
We just had everything like we possibly could strapped down to a flatbed, and we had a generator for the amps, and we would just roll up to a skate park, play a set, and then leave before the cops came.
That's fucking cool.
And throw a bunch of flyers and just leave.
Yeah, so he actually pulls permits, cops like block off traffic and, like escort him and shit. It's
That's
totally
way
sanctioned and legit. He films the whole thing like with really nice HD cams. Nice. It's beautiful. It's one of the coolest fucking ideas I've ever heard in my life. Especially now, it would work even better than ever.
That's way better.
I just think he needs to take it to like. I just think he needs to take it to like an absurdly next level thing, because he's got basically is what it is now. Is it's like he'll have one real act, and then they just drive around and perform, which is a great idea, but you never hear even one entire song because they're driving by you. So is what would be way cooler is if you did it in a straight up parade style format. So like you have like a big ass banner with your name of your band or your website or whatever. You're driving at 1 mile an hour, and you figure out a way to blast the sound in different directions, so it's not just going off the sides. So that way, when I'm driving for however long, you can hear me coming.
So you have the PA going in all directions, basically.
Yeah. And then same thing. So I get to probably hear a solid 3 to 5 minutes of music from your band and time it, figure it out. So just as you start getting out of audible reach, the next band starts coming in. And so it's almost like listening to the radio, right? And hopefully I catch, for the most part, one entire song. But it would almost be cooler if I hear the end of one song and then the beginning of another one.
Yeah.
That'd
be fun.
That's just my idea. But that's
nice
basically
summer project.
what he's already doing. They just need to take it to like the next level. How many bands would you need to make the parade worth going to? And then do you do it like a parade? Do you have motherfuckers running around throwing around candy? That would be dope.
Throwing out demos.
That'd be fucking yeah, there you go. Demos.
T-shirts and shit.
Demos and drugs.
That's there you go.
He fucking hits an acid and shit.
You need this to watch the show.
Molly everywhere.
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
Yeah, take this now, because in about 40 minutes.
We'll circle back. Jesus fuck.
Oh, that gets shut down real quick. I wonder how they get away with handing out candy at parades. Is it just they turn a blind eye and nobody's taken advantage of it yet?
They must. There's something. I mean, no one's like really spiking the candy, it seems like.
You know that it's never happened in Halloween either.
Yeah.
Whole thing is a myth. It's a myth created by the mainstream media.
What motherfucker is going to be putting razor blades in candy? And who's going to go, oh, this is already opened and there's a fucking razor blade? Like, I just don't see, like, being a kid, I remember, like, because they tell you that in school and you're like, really? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not going to fall for that shit.
There was one kid in the 80s who was poisoned by Halloween candy, and it was his own grandmother or mother that did it. So it wasn't from trick-or-treating. Like, she poisoned his candy.
Teach him a lesson not to eat candy?
I don't fucking remember what it was. But
some people's kids.
That's where the story came from. And then the mainstream media, even back in the 80s, spun that into a fear campaign to where I remember my mom sitting down and inspecting every piece of candy before I was allowed to eat it. And it was like, I can inspect my own candy. Nope. I got to look at it. Got to make sure. She'd be looking for needle injection marks and shit. Like,
but could you imagine if you did get poisoned on her watch? How heartbroken she'd have been.
I know, right? Like I'm irritated with it because I'm 7 years old and I just want to eat my fucking candy. She's a sweetheart. She just doesn't want to see her baby die. I get it, but it never happened.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Just a few years ago, I remember him talking about people were spiking their shit with candy. They were handing out crack or meth, something like that. And I just remember thinking, I'm like, do you know how expensive that is?
That's expensive as shit.
There's nobody handing that out. If that happened, it was by accident. Some drug dealer accidentally dropped it in the wrong bag. Like, maybe that's how they were going to do a drop that night. Like, oh, listen, man, it's trick-or-treating, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, all right, I'll let my kid go up, just drop it in his Halloween bag. And then he dropped it in the wrong kid's Halloween bag. Or maybe he accidentally dropped it in someone's bag at random. Ain't no fucking guy out there handing out free meth or crack. That shit's expensive.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why would you give it to a kid? Like, what are you gonna get out of it?
Right, they're not.
You could have sold that.
They're not gonna eat it.
Yeah,
no kid's gonna grab that.
Oh, this tastes like candy. No,
they're gonna look at it and they're gonna go, "What the hell is this? Ugh, it looks gross.
It's just dirt on it."
What's this? What? And kids don't even want to eat the fucking Smarties.
Dude, I love Smarties.
But think about it. Smarties, things that are clearly wrapped in obviously candy, they're not going to eat a baggie of crack.
Yeah.
Grow up.
It's ridiculous.
Your ass might smoke that crack. Not you specifically, but, the parents might, hey, give me that.
Give me that.
No, it had to be an accident. There's no fucking way, dude. I don't buy it at all.
Yeah.
So when are you releasing this album, dude?
Oh, that's a good question. So we released our first album, then we've just been doing singles. So we're going to compile the singles and drop an EP.
Okay. And this is one of those songs, the one we played today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So we did one in August. We did the one we just hear now. There's 2 more waiting, and we're going to be finishing up 1 or 2 more.
Dope. So when is this one going to be available for people if they want to follow you online?
I believe the date is March 18th. I believe.
Okay.
It's the day we submitted to Spotify. So for us, the artwork, the music video, everything has to be done by then.
Nice.
and I think the artwork is done. The music video is in process, and the hard part's over, the tracking, which it's always fun. I've like in this band, I've learned how to do video editing and use I've got a camera for it now, and we get help from our friends too that have better cameras, and for something important like a single, we will outsource the end video side to someone who's way better at it than I am.
Sure.
But like for the cover song, when we're just trying to do something zero budget and cheap, like we'll put it together, like use After Effects or use Premiere and just put it together, and it works. It's professional, and it's so crazy how I went so long, like in the Phoenix philosophy, I never touched anything graphic whatsoever. That was not my category. It's not my department. I didn't touch
graphic design.
Graphic design, yeah, any kind of video production, anything like that. This band, it's the opposite. It's like, okay, I'm doing a lot of it. We're doing a lot of it. We know how it works. We're making it constantly, and that's the stuff that the last band was missing. Is the game's changed. Content is king, and you have to keep making it, and you have to find a way to do it where you don't go broke. You know,
right? Yeah, and you got to stay present without burning people out. So now it's such a tough little tightrope we walk on that.
The biggest thing I'm worried that my guitar player is going to burn out. He personally messages every single Instagram follower, and we're over $6,000 on him right now.
That's insane.
He personally, like, hey, your name, this first name, talks to him, find something like and ask him, hey, if you have a chance, could you listen to this song? And he'll hold conversations with them too, like, well, yeah, what'd you think of the song? And I'm like, holy shit.
I would never do that.
For 6,000 people. So it's like the philosophy is almost like, yeah, there's 6,000 followers, but they're really 6,000 friends and supporters.
Right.
So we go through the time to look at everyone's content and like their stuff, and because their stuff is just as important as ours, essentially.
I would never do that. I would never have the energy or the wherewithal to do
that. I'm worried he's going to burn out on it, and then I'm going to have to take over.
Burn out on it. Not only would I burn out on it, but I'd be afraid of looking like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't really. I've never even thought of doing that.
He's good at wording the shit too. He's just like, I've seen him like, hey Jared, I saw you followed us. Thanks so much for it. We really appreciate it. We just came out this new song. Check it out. Here's a link. Let me know what you think.
All right. Well, if your band members are watching, don't send that to me. Don't do it. Just skip this one.
Send them like 5 of them now.
Your boy's on my podcast. That's good enough. I don't need a personal reach out.
But that's actually helped a lot.
Right.
And
I believe it. I believe it. I mean, honestly, that was the secret to MySpace and Facebook back in the day. Hey, thanks for adding us, blah, blah, blah. It was exactly the same. Like, and before social media, when it was just socializing,
go in the bar.
And you would play a local show. You would go out there and mingle, like we talked about. Hey, thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And it was hilarious because sometimes people would be like, I didn't fucking come here to see your ass. I came here to see these guys. Oh, thanks. What'd you think of our show? I didn't fucking see it. I just got here. Leave me alone. Like,
I always find a way to spin that. If they're like, yeah, well, we just came to see this band. Well, like, your ticket's helping pay for my gas, so I appreciate it. I had to say some shit like that. Like,
yeah, I would always just go, yeah, well, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
Or my other thing I would say before the show is, this is always a favorite line of mine. I'm like, look, I'll tell you what. If you watch the band, if you absolutely hate it, I'll make you a deal. You never have to see us again.
There you go. Right? like you have some control over that.
Yeah.
Like they can just avoid you, but you spin it like
like you never have to listen to us or see us ever again if you absolutely hate us.
That's smart. That's really clever.
Yeah, just random shit like that. And
yeah, I just don't have the energy for it anymore. I just got too much going on. I'm married. I own a house. Especially now I got the podcast. So like I am grateful when people follow me, and I do check their shit out if they're super interesting or somebody I know. Like, oh shit, this person, I know this guy. I'll follow him back. But I don't check in. I don't monitor it. I don't look at it enough. I get friend requests and people follow me. I turned that shit off because I was getting friend requests from bots, like literal sex bots, fucking fake pages, all kinds of crazy shit. So I just turned those notifications off entirely. So I don't even see them. So like, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I just don't have the energy for it.
It's
some motherfuckers
exhausting.
are hateful too. Some motherfuckers, you add them or you follow them back or whatever, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Unfollow that motherfucker.
Yeah. It takes a lot of energy, and the only way I can see it getting done on the level that we've been doing it is having multiple people do stuff. Basically, like one person can't share the burden. We have to do. There's so much only one person can do without getting burned out. So like if someone's getting tired, someone else has to take over, or this other person has to focus on mixing and mastering, or this other person needs to handle management communication and other things like that, or do video editing, or stuff like that. So it's tough, but it's worth it at the end of it, because if you're getting positive results, that's what matters.
Right. So tell me about this time as we get towards the end of this, where you've been going almost 2.5 hours. So tell me about the time you guys went to the Grammys. How'd that process? You said it's not that hard. You just got to know the right guy, have them submit you.
Yeah. So 2016, we released an album just that year prior, or I guess it qualifies an album to do the length of it. It was called Dusk. It was an EP, and the producer that made the album or the EP was a member of like the Recording Academy or Songwriters Guild, one of those two, and they can submit artists. So we were able to go to the Grammys. We went out there. We had to pay for the flight, but we got to go out there. Got to go to the Grammys. Got to go to a little soiree beforehand. Met some people that used to work for Def Jam, and just a lot of cool stuff. During the day, so there's 80 Grammys essentially. They show 5 on TV and stretch it out for like 2 hours with performances and whatnot, and then the other 75 are during the day. The first 75 are at the Microsoft Center, which is like a movie theater almost. Kind of has that feel to it, where it's first come, first serve seating. The one on TV, you're assigned seating. So you bet my ass was way up in the nosebleeds.
Oh.
And so, but for the day when I got there right away, I was third row. So I got to sit next nearby. Skrillex was like,
oh, that's cool,
right down here. Tony Bennett was next to us.
Wow.
Ed Sheeran's dad was next to us.
Oh, that's cool.
And you could hear him bitching. He was just like, my son doesn't win this year, I'm not coming back next year. He's just like, it was fucking hilarious. Yeah, it was so funny. But like during the day, a lot of the artists, like Taylor Swift won something, but she wasn't there to receive it because she was doing something later that night. So she like did like this call-in thing to accept it. Ghost won something, and they had rolled up on stage with their full gear, like, yes, I'm very, very thankful for this gift, and just metaled out. It was pretty funny. Had a couple of performances. This band, the Alabama Shakes.
Yeah.
Their producer, I actually met their producer in line for pizza too. That was interesting. So it was really a fun opportunity to go there. And the thing that during the day tripped me out the most was all of the obscure categories you could win. And there was like this one, it was like modern, contemporary, secular, Latino pop music. And it was like all these like random like Latino names you couldn't pronounce, and then Pitbull.
Wow. And he won.
Pitbull won. I'm like, dude, I should have done that because I went in as a pop artist.
Do you think they invent categories they can win so they can be like, I won a Grammy?
I don't know about that, but it seems like there's 2 ways to win a Grammy. Number one, you get referred there every year. You join one of those groups and become a musician. You show up every year. You get to know everybody. You put your time in, and 15 years later, you might win one of those obscure-ass categories. Option number 2, you have a label that flies all over the country with reps giving care packages saying, hey, for your consideration. And they pump the shit out of it.
I know that's how the Emmys work and like the Oscars and shit, but I thought the Grammys were pure album sales.
I'm sure that weighs into it, but there's ultimately this, from what I understand, there's
like album of the year, song of the year, shit like that.
I'm not sure if it's based completely off of.
Really?
Yeah, I'm. From what I understand,
I don't know anybody who is 100%. Like I'm not going to the mat for this one. Like I could be totally off my rocker.
I could be, because like I'm on the outside looking in at this point,
But
because
but you still have more knowledge than I do.
But like they gave you a spreadsheet of like everybody, like an Excel sheet going, hey, here's everybody that's nominated or submitted for consideration for Pop Song of the Year. And there's like Taylor Swift, there's a Weeknd, and then like someplace on the list there's the Phoenix Philosophy.
Gotcha.
And so that was cool, kind of be on that same list. And then so once that ended, because it's downtown LA, they blocked off the fucking roads because you're close to Skid Row and everything like that. So they blocked off all the bullshit. And there was basically just one path to the Staples Center, which is where they play basketball. That's where they had the big end of night thing. And on that way, there's like 2 or 3 places you could stop to eat. So I'm in line next to the producer talking to him from Alabama Shakes. Like some producer of David Bowie that was like receiving all these awards. He died that year. Like she's right next to me with her kids, and like I'm just mingling and talking. So it was a really cool experience there. The end of the night thing was pretty sweet too. It was obviously they had it all planned, and some really good performances. Alice Cooper and Johnny Depp's band played.
Really?
Yeah, they played. There was Lady Gaga dressed up as David Bowie and did a tribute. And my favorite part was The Weeknd. So he was up there playing. He was doing like a piano rendition of In the Night, and I yelled when it got really quiet. I yelled, "Play Often," which is like one of his like dirty, dark, raunchy ass songs about like just obliterating some chick's backside or whatever. And I just screamed it, and I think he heard me because like he's like there was a quick delay and a little smirk. I was like, "Oh shit!" I bet he heard me. Awesome. I could see him on the Titantron.
That's great.
So that was funny, but yeah, just like
just that subtle little nod, like nice call. That's a deep cut.
Yeah, that was awesome. Otherwise, yeah, it was cool. We're in our tuxes and everything, and it was interesting time, man.
Who's the coolest person you actually got to hang out with that you got to meet when you're out there?
I think it was the Alabama Shakes producer.
Yeah.
Because he seemed super down to earth, and it seemed like you're just one of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And I'm pretty shocked. I mean, Tony Bennett, I got to, do a handshake and say hi, but he won a Grammy. LA 85.
Yeah. It's rigged. No, I'm
shit.
Just kidding. I don't fucking know. I'm not surprised though.
But there was like this whole community of like people, like this guy that won like one of the obscure categories. He was at it for 17 years, and like he had this whole little group of people of other musicians that supported him, and they're like, it was like basically a little music scene within the Grammys. It was kind of cool.
God, I wonder how much I would give a fuck. I don't think I would care.
Yeah.
I really don't know if I would care, because especially if it's rigged like that. It's like, oh, cool. So I finally won the rigged competition because enough care packages were sent out. Like, cool. Essentially meaning I spent more money to buy this trophy than everyone else. Great. I was slightly more enthused, but still not enthused about the album sales thing, because it was like we watched Metallica get fucked by that, with Jethro Tull way back in the day, and it's like it's such a stupid metric because Jethro Tull won Best Metal Album of the Year over And Justice for All, and it's like y'all ain't even a metal band.
The whole thing, I guess, what basically it felt like was if you were to go down that route and try to be successful pop with the tools I have, it was like a man going up against an army. I was like, this ain't gonna happen.
Right.
And so after that, I came home from that trip and started writing more rock again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much politics. There's so many gatekeepers. There's really, unless you want that to be, which is like, to me, I guess it's, if you can get in early and start playing that game, it's smart, because that's the world, the Grammys, and you play those politics. You're meeting with the biggest producers in the world. I get it, and sure, that'll work. But it sounds like the exact same game we all played on the fucking local scene.
Yeah, and I never even won that game.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I still like I have some friends, but like I've never, like, even the Failsafe, we don't get invited to like a lot of these like local rock scene shows. Like,
good.
And we're fine with that. We're like, it's all good. We got our own thing going on, you know?
And dude, and that's the point, man, is like, you don't want to be fucking popular at the Grammys. You want to be popular with people that will pay to go to your show, buy or stream your album, buy your merch. That's what matters, because those are the people that are actually keeping your career going.
Bingo.
I mean, that's true on the local thing too, man. One by one, once each band realized playing the politics and making it big on the local scene was a fool's game, and we were like, man, fuck this town, and we just started playing out. Like our careers immediately got better.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like our music got more popular, and then for a lot of us, we actually started to get bigger crowds back in town.
Yeah,
because like, oh, these guys are really doing it now. Because honestly, man, we're spoiled. We're a music town. Like your cute little local band doesn't impress anyone here. There's a million of you here. It's like LA. No one gives a fuck. Oh, you're in a band? Oh wow, didn't see that coming. I've heard chicks say that to dudes at the bar. Like, oh, you're in a band too? Let me guess. You play guitar?
There was after a while there was a rule where like I wouldn't even mention the band until like we had a full date or I spent the night or something like that. Like that was I wouldn't even mention it.
Yep. If people ask me what I do, I'd admit I'm a musician, but I would never be like, oh, I'm in a band. Like just that became cringy.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, ugh. And it was worthless. It was fruitless. Like there was a time when our scene was thriving enough to where if you could make it to the top, big record labels would come knocking. I mean, that did happen.
Yeah.
But those bands still had to get out of town and also get a buzz going in other cities in order to legitimize what they were doing here. Because everybody knows in the music industry, you can draw 1,000 people to a show just by having 1,000 friends. And that sounds insane, but it's not. Because
it happens all the time.
People in a band, and each one of you can easily have 200 to 250 friends.
Dude, I remember like
that's 1,000 people.
There were, and I can't even remember these bands' names because that's how irrelevant they were. But they would play like maybe once or twice a year, and then they would just get all their friends to come out, and they would do exactly what you said. Every member of the band brings out 50 of their friends, and they just pack the place for like one time a year, and that's it. Or they would do it like if there was like one of those popularity battle of the bands back in the day, they would have like some band that doesn't play out regularly show up and bring all their family and friends, which are, you know, hundreds of people, and then they would win it and do nothing with it over the band that's playing like every weekend.
Yeah. And they need that recording
and
time.
And they need that recording time.
Because back in the day, it was like, man, if we win this battle of the band, some of them were legit. Some of them were like, it was like 10 grand, a trailer for all your gear, like 100 hours of recording. It was like a huge package. And it was like, wow, this could like legitimately make our career. Because we're struggling, man. We get that fucking trailer. We can go on road shows, out of towners, you know, like you don't even know what to call them at that point. You don't even know the lingo, but you're like, fuck, man, an album we can record for free because you don't have the gear we were joking about earlier. Like you're just a normal cat. And yeah, I know exactly what I always still like doing them though, brother, because I only ever played Battle of the Bands for exposure to new people. And I always noticed a legitimate uptick in attendance the next shows after a Battle of the Bands, because I was like, just get us to the finals. I don't care if we win. I just want to get to the finals, because when we get to the finals, there's always 500 people or more. When you get us in front of 500 people, we kick ass. Once we kick ass, those people, whether they were there for the music or not, they'll be like, those guys were actually kind of cool. And we would know that they'd be like, yeah, I saw you guys at the Battle of the Bands a month ago or whatever. Every time it would work.
I just remember always being like a revolving door of people's fans. Like they'd come, they'd leave. Next band's fans would come and they would leave.
Yeah, it's definitely that way when you're young. Because when you're young, you got shit to do, places to be. Once people have kids, so like mid-20s, pretty much most people have kids, it becomes a night, right? They get a babysitter. They're there for the night. So like, yeah, they're there for their friend, but they still had to get a babysitter. They still had to do all this. They get a couple drinks in them, and they want to hang out and have a good time. Now's your shot, because in another month or two, if they had a good time tonight, they're going to go, hey, you know what? Let's go out again. Well, what do? Oh, that band we like, let's see if they're playing again. Oh, you know what? They're playing in December. Let's go see them in December. Boom, babysitter booked. That's what essentially you're doing when you reach out to those people on Instagram. That's a micro version of what I'm talking about. But it's just being conscious and aware and appreciative that the vast majority of people that are going out to your shows, unless they're super young, like literally 21 to 23, hot, no kids, but even them, like if they're coming to a show, they're going to a concert. Most people. You're right though about the battle of the bands, where it can be fuck that, and that can be heartbreaking. Like you play, you're playing third, opening band goes on, there's no one there. You get it. You know how shows work. But then the second band goes on, and it's like, oh, there's a bunch of people there. And then you see, as the second band's playing, your fans start showing up, and you're like, all right, it's going to be a good night. There's like 800 people there.
Totally been there.
But then guess what? As soon as that second band's done during your sound check, their entire crowd disappears. And it's like, now you're just playing to your friends and fans again, which is great. You still might win the battle of the bands. But again, I only did it to get new exposure to new fans.
Yeah.
I didn't want to win. So I didn't do that. Honestly, man, I didn't even fucking usually promote Battle of the Bands very hard. Just in the first couple rounds to get us in front of some better crowds. Then I didn't give a fuck. Money would have been nice, though. Like getting 10 grand dropped on you. It's like, whoo, let's go buy a truck.
Yeah, no
or
shit.
a van or something, I can tote our ass around the country. Buy a bunch of merch. But then even when we would do that, we were so naive. And that's why, like, I got to have you on again, dude, because even in 3 hours, we can't ever cover everything because there's so many little easy things we can do to make money doing this. Like,
did you ever do the call up restaurants and get free food thing?
No, how you do
that? Dude. So it worked with Domino's. It worked with Melio's and Noodles and Company. And I got this trick from this band I was touring with from Ohio. We would just call and go, hey, can we talk to a local manager? Hey, we're a band. We're passing through this town. We're just wondering if there's any way we can get a free meal. We'll repay you with surveys and give you perfect scores and
now you can do Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah,
and
tickets to the show and blah, blah, blah. And we would, some place would tell you to fuck off or whatever, but some place will, we'll hook you up.
That's fucking smart.
Yeah.
I never did that. I never thought of that because I always just put it on the booker. Like I always just built it into our rider.
Oh, I didn't have that luxury.
They should be smarter. Yeah, no, and that it was like because you're usually playing at a bar or a club, right? Usually,
yeah,
like 90% of the time. Sometimes you play in a theater.
I think at this particular tour, if I remember correctly, there was like some makeshift shows. Like, oh, they have the banquet room of this bowling alley.
But think about it, like even fucking First Avenue is legally a club level like thing.
Yeah.
They have to serve food.
And they have their own restaurant now.
At least everywhere in Minnesota, in order to serve booze, you have to serve some sort of food unless you're like a brewery or a tap house, right? That's your only way out of it. But even them, they have food trucks. So we would always just work it in, like even at the lowest level, we'd be like, look, we need $200 and a meal for each person. If it's a restaurant, their actual cost on food is so fucking low. They're like, okay, that's easy. And then if it was like just a bootleg promoter, like kind of how you and I would do it when we were young local guys, if we were lucky enough to get an out-of-town band, like, yeah, come on. Like, we'll give you $200 because we were trading shows.
Yeah, trying to do that show swap.
And then a meal, it was like, it was never an insane high demand because we're young, we're fit touring musicians. Well, some of us were. But it was like, dude, pizzas or fucking... we can grill. Like when we needed a place to sleep, you didn't have to book us a hotel room. Just give us a place to crash. Whose couch are we sleeping on? You mentioned that earlier. That's how we handled it. And I just made the bookers handle that. And it was always even at the beginning, it was easy because it was a show trading opportunity. So it was like, we're going to do this for you. So most of those bands would try to like go all out. Right. So whether we're trading shows with the band directly, we're trading shows with a booker or a promoter, whatever, they would go all out. We'd usually get a hotel room because they wanted a hotel room when they came back with us. And so we would just time it out where we knew we were going to have one of those 1,000-person shows at Star Central or The Rock, and then we'd bring in this out-of-town band, throw them on third right in front of the headliner.
That's exactly what we did.
And they would crush, and they'd be like, this is fucking amazing. And then even if we couldn't give them exactly the hotel room level quality, or we couldn't provide them with the same quality food, we gave them a crowd that was insane.
I always let them stay at my house.
That happened a lot.
Yeah.
Matty Time used to have that compound, so he used to let a lot of guys stay there. But that's how I always ended up playing for great crowds out of town, is I would trade shows with them and get them here. And if we couldn't time it to where we were playing and we were going to get them a good enough crowd, I'd work out a deal with another local band, and I'd get them to let this band on the
Dude, that's exactly what I was talking about there earlier with Dave Hall. That's like, hey, could you throw this band on? They're coming from Chicago. He's like, yeah, sure. Yep. And then
because that's a favor in his pocket and another connection for him, and the network and scene just got bigger. The problem is everyone quit or retired. Fucking Bill Berry robbed a bunch of people and ran off.
Shit, at the Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
The fucking 2009 collapse happened. So fucking people went under on mortgages. Ken's shady ass mismanaged the lease on Star Central. We touched on that yesterday with Dave. So
I always heard bits and pieces of that, but I never actually heard the full story until yesterday.
I never knew that Dave technically sublet the venue.
I heard about that.
In its entirety. I thought he was like me, just booking way bigger shows because he had more money. That's what I thought was. I thought he was just booking shows just like me. I had built a connection with Spanbauer, Ken, and Dave. And I thought we were all just booking shows at Ken's club. And the only reason Dave and Joe were booking way bigger shows than me was because they had money to book national acts. I had no fucking idea that Dave was literally running the whole deal.
Yeah.
Or owned the whole deal technically and was subleasing or subletting. I had no
That was a raw deal, man.
Yeah. And we lost 3 of our best clubs because of Ken, Star Central, and Urban Wildlife.
Yeah.
And then because of Bill Berry,
isn't
The Rock.
Isn't Urban Wildlife, like I heard this before, like you can get that place for almost nothing if you pay the back taxes on it. Like that building.
We should do it.
Like, but the back taxes are like, last I checked, which was like 10 years ago, were like 65 grand.
That's a deal. That's a steal.
Yeah.
I want to know what the annual taxes are on it.
It's got to be through the roof. Right there off of 2nd and 4th.
We should find out. We should put a little group together and get our own fucking venue. Because that's a beautiful little spot. It's a beautiful venue. It's a beautiful little spot. It's small, but it's directly attached to the actual sports bar. Right?
This sounds like a conversation that would have been had on musicscene.org like in 2009.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Seriously.
You might be right. I missed that fucking website. You know how many fucking cool bands were born on musicscene.org?
So I got my start.
I got a band. I need guitar players. Here's a link to our music.
My favorite was always like, there was some guy that like you'd be like, yeah, I'm looking for a guitar player for this. Hey, I don't play guitar, but yeah, let me know if you need a bassist. Or like somebody like,
and then all of a sudden you would need a bassist as well.
Well, he would go on every single like post and like, he's like, yeah, I'm trying to sell this amp. Like, well, I don't need that because I'm a bassist. But yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
He would just like follow every fucking like, thanks, that was helpful.
I missed that website. There was cool bands on that website.
I missed that. I missed Riff Magazine. I missed.
You know, I used to live next door to the dude who
that rich
owns
dude.
That? Yeah, Rich.
Yeah, not Rich. Well, he might be rich. I don't know, but I think his name's Rich Horton or something like that.
His name's Rich. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's rich. Yeah, that's what I meant by that. His name's Rich. I used to live directly next door to him.
Oh shit.
Directly next door to him. And Riff is still going. Is it Riff or Rift?
It's Rift.
Rift magazine.
Yeah.
It's still going. It's just online now. It's just a pure online publication.
That makes sense.
Well, let's wrap this up. I'll play you my demo. I got to take a leak anyways.
Yeah, sure.
I'll play you my demo and fucking we'll get out of here, dude.
All right, then.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Where can people follow you again? Plug it one more time.
www.wearethefailsafe.com. I think I threw 3 W's in there. But
that's fine. The link's in the description. So
there you go.
For me, everything's just Jared Singer Live, all my socials, all that shit. I do have my website coming in a day or two. So thank you guys. Like, subscribe. Appreciate it. And we are out, man.